welcome to Southview Coys TV. You got me, Marlon, host. You got the boy, tactician, Ashmatic. Are you well, my son?
I'm very well, man. It's Christmas time, season greetings, whatever you celebrate. Hope your family's well and all your loved ones are good. Hope everyone's good in the chat. Big yourselves up, but it's time to get down to the show. And I'm hoping we have a steady, level-headed guests so they can give their honest opinion on what we have on today's tour, man. I want honest opinions only. That's what I want, honesty.
So, if you want honest opinions, why are you inviting the one guest on? One guest. We don't need him, but no.
Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're Marlon's I love it though. I love it. Go on.
He's gonna come on here and praise you and completely dismiss me. So I'm here for the other two. I'm here for the other two. They're my favorites, right? You picked one, and I don't want him. I don't want him here. No, pure love. But Ash, let's quickly just before we bring the guest out. Forest obviously have sacked Steve Cooper today.
Yep.
It looks like Nuno's going in.
He is.
So we've obviously caused the first manager casualty. From what you saw of the highlights and stuff, personally, was it the right decision?
Well, for Forest, nah.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it was a run of games. I think they made a decision a long time ago before that game. It was the writings were on the wall when he was like clapping the fans, and the fans were like celebrating after they just got pummeled. Like I was like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's really weird because it kind of was the same last year, and they gave him a new contract. He was going through a bad run, and then all of a sudden, they kind of went. But this year it's 1 win in 10, and it was only Villa they beat, and they've had some bad results. They've lost to everyone around them. And listening to a Forest fan today, a lot of them are quite happy about it. It was time to go.
Opportunists, I think, as well from the board. They saw Nuno was available. I thought they were like, let's pull the trigger now. Let's go for him. And I think it was more of that than anything.
But all right, but let's bring out our guest, right? Because obviously we need to talk about Forest. We need to talk about the season so far. There's so much to get through. But first of all, I want to give a welcome, and I think this is the first time I've shared a stream with him, to Top Josh. Are you well?
Yes. I'm doing well. Debut here. Yeah. When you get the message from Ash, obviously you can't put it down. You gotta come. So your boy's here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
No problem at all. And then the next one, another favorite of mine, right? Who I've never shared a stream with, right? But I've been on his channel on videos. Ash has shared a stream with him, but I haven't. And it's the one and only, right? We've had one half of it, the channel here, so we had to bring in the second to complete it. But Jack, are you well?
I am well, Marlon. Good to speak to you. The prophet, the prophet of Spurs South Coys. Southview Coys. Good to have you guys. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. And,
are you well? Yes. Are you well?
I'm well. Thanks for asking. Healthy. Everything's good before the holidays. Flying back to Seattle, where I'm originally from, tomorrow for all the holiday festivities. And Marlon, thanks for reminding me. I need to return the favor. I brought on Ash so many times. I need to bring you on. So thanks for reminding me that.
Of course. No one needs Ash no more. Everyone's here for
Ash.
Need
you live. No
pre-recorded.
No pre-recorded. Need you live. Bring you on.
But last of all, I think all the viewers are going to leave now. You know how it goes. He calls himself the rating killer. He calls himself Mr. Boxy Office. I shared a stream with him on Sunday to talk about the review. But big up. And he's only going to big up you anyway, Ashmac. He ain't going to think about me. But Mr. Box Office, are you well?
The truth.
I'm good. I've been down with a bit of a flu and the cold, really. You know what I mean? Because I've been listening to so many deluded Tottenham fans after Nottingham Forest. Honestly, my gosh. You know what I mean? And I had to get a remedy. I had to get some remedy of soca music. You know what I mean? Soca music and love. And that's it, you know? And that's it.
Fan.
And start singing that music, and that's it. Honestly, I've never heard such absolute waffle my whole life. But like I say, we have to start the greetings properly. Merry
Yep.
Christmas to everybody, one and all. Whoever celebrates whatever you celebrate, by the way,
Hold on.
diplomatically and everything else.
Josh, you gotta make it. He's on the show, so you gotta make sure we know.
Yeah. So, but Merry Christmas to one and all, whatever you celebrate, by the way. Thank you
Say
for
happy
inviting me,
holidays.
Ash. Thank you for inviting me, Marlon. Big up to Haz as well. Big up to your show last week from Revival Show because I watched it. That Chelsea fan was something, and when I want to, it's a good show because Mr. Box Office want to come on and want to debate people. You know what I mean? So he wanted to get on, and that's it. Big up to Jack, by the way, from the Irish Hotspur. You know what I mean? You know the real one. You know what I mean? The real one that loves with Charlison, even though he's below average. Emerald Heskey. Big up to Josh as well.
More
bruv.
delusion.
Every
than
single
love.
time, and that's it. And that's Mr. Box Office greeting, and that's it. Back to you guys. I'm
Oh,
done.
great intro. Box office.
Just before we start, big up to everyone in the chat. Tommy G, I can see Adrian's here. Toxic Headshot. Mia, as always, thank you for the redirect. Daniel is always here for the love as well. So thank you all and everyone else who's tuned in. Ash,
Yes.
have to start with you. Right?
Go for it.
2-0. Probably not our greatest performance. I think everyone, from every stream that I've seen, I don't think anyone's going to disagree. Not our greatest performance, but it was down to one man, Kulu. Talk to me about Kulu. Why is everyone talking about Kulu after this game?
I think it's his end product for once. Like, his end product's actually coming through, and his decision making is mirroring what he did when he first came to us. And so that is now turning into real chance creations where we're getting quality chances. And also the players are expecting it a bit. So they're like, okay, Kulu's on the ball. I better get in that right position because something's going to come in. And also he's feeling his own sauce. You see, he's doing the greatest of all time stance. Like, I've seen him do him. I've seen the Kobe. Like I said, yeah, LeBron James, I see him doing his thing. So I think that's what it is. I think right about now, he's a young man. Obviously, he just announced the pregnancy from his missus. And he's just like, yeah, literally, I'm loving it. I'm loving Big Ganj instead. The style of football, the philosophy. He's even talking about training, how he loves training. We play with the ball, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's the reason why you're seeing Kulu. But I think the change of scenery as well has helped him. Being in that position where he was before, I think at Juve, and even before that at Parma, he was the 10. So putting him back in that position where he's real familiar with. I remember when Conte was in charge, he was like saying, look, I used to play a 10, I can do it, I could be that false 9. I remember we had a few injuries, and he was like, I think Conte did experiment with him during the World Cup, during friendlies. So maybe him coming back in that position is giving him that new lease of life. I'm just saying.
Jack, I'm going to come to you. So, as Ash said, everyone's talking about in the number 10 role, he's been brilliant, he's been good. He's been on fire. But it seemed to be, he went to the right and just completely done what he hasn't probably done. What everyone's been frustrated with. And it's been his final ball was great. He took on the man, he got the goal. What has suddenly changed in Kulu? What have you seen?
To be honest, I could see why people get frustrated with Kulu at certain stages, especially last season. But for the most part, like this season, he's kind of carried us in a lot of games, I think personally. And also, I don't even really much care what his best position really is in the team, because I think he's played so well of recent that he kind of just has to be in the team regardless. It's kind of like, you fit. It's one of those players that you just sort of fit him in no matter where you can. And Ange's more or less done that, even in some of his substitutions. Even when we've gone down to 10 men, 9 men, he's kept Kulu on the pitch. He's, brought off even Son at times to keep Kulu on. He'll put Kulu at striker. He'll put him at center mid. He'll put him at right wing. He'll do whatever he can to basically keep the guy in the team. So by the looks of things, he's probably somebody that Ange thinks basically carries the team in a lot of ways that we probably can notice, but maybe ways that we can't always notice, which might be, the defensive work rate, the hold-up play. I think what makes him probably the most unique player almost in the Premier League for his sort of position is the fact that he actually doesn't need pace, really. He requires actually more just the strength and just the hold-up play to be able to get past his man. Almost kind of like Joe Linton when you think about it. Like Joe Linton, whenever he carries the ball, just sort of just blows past this guy. Like you just don't want to get in front of that guy. Kind of Kulusievski, a bit similar. So for me, I think I don't even know if anything's changed in him. I think he's just slowly gotten more confident throughout the season, and he's just, and maybe in the term, almost getting in his bag right now, where he's, now he's starting to warm up to things, and he's playing, creative number 10 position, right wing. He's just realized that he's really valued by Ange, and that means he's going to start playing really well.
Josh, I'll quickly bring you in on it. So Jack brings up a great point. Ange he's probably played the most minutes under Ange this year. He's created the most chances, even though he hasn't got many assists. Why was it, say a couple of weeks ago, probably before we will go through that 10-game unbeaten run, Kulu was the one everyone's going, he's got to be dropped. He can't play out there. Something's going wrong. And then all of a sudden, we've gone through this bad run, but Kulu's coming out like the shining light. What's going on? Why all of a sudden?
I think the main point here is what you got to understand is that now that Kulu is now starting a new role, which is that cam position. I wasn't actually a person who actually thought of playing Kulusievski as a cam. It never crossed my mind. But seeing him going that cam role, I think it just builds him more confidence. And as you saw against Nottingham, like he tried to beat his man. It tried to give him some confidence to try to beat his man. So I think the positive of him is the fact that, if he goes into the cam position, okay, and he's done well, it's the positivity and the energy that the fans are giving him to just go back into that right wing spot against Nottingham Forest and do even better. I think the biggest strength the fans have is to give players confidence. Not for every player it will work, absolutely not. But I think for a player like Kulusievski, who I wouldn't say he needs confidence, but every player needs a little bit of confidence. Everyone needs a little bit of a push, a drive. So yeah, I think the reason why he's come up on top is because you also got to think about the negative side. Essentially, our whole team has not been playing up to their standards. Let's be honest. The only player who's really been actually has been the one who's standing out is Kulusievski. I think mainly because we're seeing his hold up play, like Jack said. But yeah, so big up to Kulu.
Well, go on, Alex. Debunk everybody. Go on. What are you gonna say about the man? You've had, obviously, like, look, we spoke on Sunday, right? And I know what you had to say. There must be some sort of positive you must see from Kulu in the last few games compared to how he was at the beginning.
I said after Man City, he looked like Dembele. I said he was one of the best players on the pitch. I said he needed to be in the centre for a long time. I said in the right, he looks like a fullback. He looked like a fullback. Honestly, he was useless. Honestly, and I was there watching him. He couldn't get past his man even if he tried. And I said to people when he came in, everyone was like going raving about him so much. I said, well, this guy, let's see what happens later on. Hasn't developed. Like I'll say this. Okay, he was effective against Nottingham Forest. Yeah, when I saw the highlights, because I was hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's absolutely magical. He's unplayable." I've heard Gary Neville. Oh my gosh, this sums it all up. And this is what now 2023 when you have 4 good games. Well, no, 2 good games. Oh, he's now going to be. He could be £100 million player. Really? Like, I'm sorry. He was better at Man City, and he was better at Aston Villa. Yeah, Aston Villa. I saw him getting past his man. He was looking for a pass. I saw at the beginning of the Nottingham Forest game, he looked like he was finding a pass. He found a pass for Son, and Son should have scored in the early part of the first half.
Okay, Alex.
I'll give him that. But when Johnson came off, that was when I was like, And the thing is, though, the 2 goals, the first goal that he set up for Richarlison, which I'm now hearing that if Richarlison plays, he plays better because he's got a target man, which is mind-blowing when he's a below-average Emil Heskey we're talking about here. The point is that he done the same thing he's been doing how long, He cuts it back and look, just for once, he gets a good crossing, which was a good crossing.
It was
a good cross. Yeah, and Richarlison had to score. Yeah, because if he can't score that, he's useless. He was that useless. Close. And then the second goal was because of the goalkeeper. messing up. Yes, okay, we can say Son did something good. Yes, because we have to give praise to Son now because everyone has to give praise to Son for some reason. Yeah. But the point is
Where
that
did he come in these
yeah,
conversations?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it's the truth, because everybody has to praise Son now these days. The point is, is that Son closed down really well, yes, but it was an easy goal for him, man, easy goal, and the goalkeeper still fluffed his own as well. So I'm sorry, that's not an unplayable player, And then I'm hearing about people saying that he's Kane. He's like Kane. Kane was doing it every single week for Tottenham, even when we were in the worst teams. So this is why I don't listen to the rubbish.
But
Sorry.
Alex, but do you agree, right, with everyone saying right now he is one of the key players for us as we speak at this present moment?
Yes, if he's in the centre.
That's it. That's all I need to hear.
In the centre.
Yeah, of course.
In the centre.
Yeah, but none of us are disagreeing with that because at the end of the day, right, we've Jack has said, Josh has said, even Ash, when he's been playing in the centre, and as you alluded to against Manchester City, right, he was better. Right, and when he has been better in the centre, but it was unusual that against Forest, he went out right. He took up better positions than he normally does, and he put in a cross that, let's be honest, we've been waiting for all season. So, is there a confidence flowing Kulu going through Kulu right now, where he's going? Well, Ange don't take me off. He plays me through the middle. I'm a lot confident. But actually, this is going to be the next question for all three of you, right? And even Ash. What do you do with Kulu now? Because everyone's agreeing that he's better in the middle, right? Yes, he had a good time out on the right. But what happens when Maddison comes back? What do you do?
Me personally, me personally, I would have Maddison playing the 8, what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have whoever plays the 6 or 8, they play that position. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've got...
So let me give you this, right? We've got a fully fit team, right? Your fully fit team, right? We know who the back four is, right? Who are your 3 midfielders? Who is your wingers? Who's the man up top? Fully fit team right now.
The midfielders, I think for me, the midfielders would have to be like a Bentancur, because Bentancur can play the 6/8. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
And then Maddison plays the other 8, the creative one. Mm-hmm. And then you can have Kulu in that midfield. Do you know what I'm saying? Kulu just playing in behind. And then at that front three, you could have Johnson on that right doing what he does.
Yeah.
Richie being the target man, and then Son on the left. For me, that would make most sense.
So you'd take Sarr out the equation?
Yeah, I would.
Who's probably the reason why I'm asking that is because I feel like Sarr has played the Ange system. He's the main reason why the Ange system works, because of what he does.
I hear it. It's just, I think
tactically, I'm looking at tactics and looking at when he's been missing and how we haven't adjusted until Sarr's come back. And even when, like, let's take the Newcastle game, right? It looked Sarr's positional, what he takes up. Him and Skip are the only two that Ange makes do this. I don't know why, right? But Lo Celso tried to play it against Villa, and it kind of didn't work, right?
It didn't work, bro.
Right? Until he was moved forward, right? So that's why I'm asking the question: are you going to take Sarr out the equation?
Yeah, well, it depends.
Because can Maddison play that way?
It depends on the team we're playing. So if we're playing, me, if we're playing a low block, then actually, yeah. But then if we're playing a team of a higher line, then you can swap things around. You could maybe have Sarr in the midfield, and then you could have Richarlison out and have Son up top, because Son plays on the shoulder. And then you can move it around where you have, I don't know, your wingers, you swap the wingers around. So that's how I would personally do it. So depending on who we're playing, I would swap it around. But I was so impressed in that Villa game, the way Bentancur played. If he was fit, for me, it's got to be Bentancur, Maddison.
I'm going to ask you a question next, all right, about that, because I want to know if your opinion's changed. Jack, bring you in on the equation. Obviously, I'm going with the back four as normal, but who are you going to play in front? Now, if everybody's fit, who is your starting 11?
To be honest, though, like, I don't think we ever had a problem with creating chances as much as people think. I think our problem earlier in the season was we actually started to become guilty of trying to create the perfect goal far too often. We did have chances, like, and we did have like sort of clear, opportunities to either pass it on to somebody else who would have had an easier shot, or we could have just taken the original easier chance, but then we didn't, and we, pass it on to somebody else to do it, and then the chance was at the end sort of spurned. But to be honest, I think creativity hasn't been much of a problem. I think, since we've added Richarlison back into the middle, we've actually almost solved, in a way, our issue with, breaking down low blocks. Because at the end of the day, like when you have a low block and you have 5 center backs just standing in the box, you do need somebody that can find that sort of half space, rise above his, defender, and just be able to nod one in. You kind of can't create the perfect goal sometimes against those sort of type of defenses. It's really not possible, actually, in a lot of situations. It's just, you're going to either have to rely on a moment of brilliance from one player, or you're just going to have to sort of force it in. And I think now that we have Richie, we can kind of just force it in. So I think for the most part, we should probably just stick with Sonny on the left, Richie up top, and play Kulu wherever Kulu fits in the team, whether that's in the midfield for a game or two, or if that's on the right, Kulu just gets in the team no matter what. And that means that Brennan Johnson sits, or he doesn't sit, or someone takes the right position. I think Pop Matasar has probably been the most consistent player of this team this whole season, so it'd be kind of harsh to sit him. And then Madison practically walks back into the team. And then at number 6 position, it's probably Bentancur at the moment. So yeah, that would be mine but I think Kulu just walks into the team no matter what. I don't think you can sit Kulu personally.
Josh, before I bring you in, we've got a super chat from David. I hope I pronounced your surname right, Shire. He says, big up Ash, Jack, Marlon, Josh, and Mr. Box Office Merry Experts quiz. David, thank you, and I hope you have a great Christmas in Australia. It probably is very warm as well. So but yeah, Josh, let me bring you in on this as well. Like, obviously, all our starting lineup, we've seen pretty much everybody who's going to be in our starting lineup this season, right? We obviously now seen Bentancur in that number 6 role, right? And it's going to lead me on to my next question because that's 2 now that picked Bentancur. We know who the back 4 is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Kulu obviously is a veteran in number 10. Madison comes back. What do you do? What your Ange? What are you going to do in this situation?
So I'm going a little bit different now. I'm going to go for keep that Bissouma. I think he's such a vital player that people don't really understand. When Bissouma's on his game, Tottenham's on their game. I don't think people really understand that. It's when the CDM protects the defenders, that's when you can see the solidarity in the team. I think Madison and Bentancur keep their positions at that 2 centre mids. And Kulusievski, really, all he's doing for me, if I was Ange, would be position him on that right wing, for Sky Sports, everyone to, to show the lineup. But really, I want him to have like a free role in terms of him coming inside to that midfield, really helping up, becoming an extra man in that midfield, holding up play as well. And whilst Jack and Ash was talking, I was thinking to myself, if you actually had to paint the perfect cross, if you had someone in the team to put the perfect cross in, who puts the best crosses in on their day? And in my opinion, I think that's Kulusievski. I think Kulusievski puts in the best crosses in the team. If you had to pick one, I think Poro's crosses are good, but Kulusievski crosses are unbelievable. They're sharp. They're on. Sometimes saying most of the time it doesn't happen, but when it does happen, it's sharp. It's on the point, and all you need is a little flick. So really, I'm saying that Kulusievski really gets a free position kind of thing, where he's on that right hand side, but I'm not. I don't want him to take on his man. I kind of want him to come inside as well, help. But also, sorry, one thing I want to touch on is what Jack said, is that I see this all the time. I say this on my stream all the time. Tottenham Hotspur are trying to create the perfect goal. They're trying to pass the ball in, and enough is enough doing that. We need to start taking shots. If you got Kulu, Sonny on that wing, Sonny with his finesse shots. I mean, guys, if it's FIFA, come on, it's scoring a goal. I mean, Sonny needs to be scoring. If he's cutting in that right hand side, take a shot. So, guys, I think we should take more shots instead of creating a perfect goal. But so that was my team.
Before I get to Alex and asking the same question, everyone in the chat, who would be your 3 in midfield as well? Who, if Kulu is great as number 10, Would he get into your midfield, or does Maddison still walk in, or do you play like Ash said? Do you play but him and Maddison in the middle? So it'd be great to get everyone's opinion in the chat. Alex, where do you sit on all this? Where do you put Kulu? Where do you put Maddison when he's back? You got your full 11. You got everybody fit. I know it's unlikely at Spurs, but you've got everyone fit. What do you do?
Well, at the moment, I'll stick with the status quo at the moment. I'll stick with if all of them are fit. Maddison, I'll say Bissouma, and then I'll put Sarr.
Okay,
That's what I'll put.
So would you put him on? What would you do about the front three then? Where does Kulu fit in the front three then for you? Even though you
no,
said
I wouldn't put him there. I wouldn't put him there because I don't rate him as a winger. I think I like my wingers to go past their player, goes past their man. He doesn't do it. He can't do it, as far as I'm concerned. I think top teams figure him out easily, as far as I'm concerned. So this is why I think we need to get a winger in January, to be honest with you, because I think we need a winger that can go past their man and cross the ball. So I'll have Johnson on the right, and then by default I have I'll have Son. To be honest, Son on the wing has been. I actually thought he was done as a winger. I thought it was more up front for me, but to be honest with you, he actually tries and gets past his man.
Yeah.
To be fair to you, he does do that, and he gets past the bar line. So for me, that's it really for me. If I was thinking about it as a top club, a big club. Yeah, because we say that we're a big club when I don't think we're a big club, by the way. Big clubs, you would hope that players that are playing right now are trying to compete with the players that are injured at the moment. That's why I don't talk about Bentancur, because as far as I'm concerned, Bentancur, Maddison, Van der Ven, not in my thinking at the moment because they're injured. Yeah, so until they come back and they fight for their place, that's what you do in the top team. So, for me, I don't think Maddison should get an easy ride to get back into the team. So, I don't think Bentancur should get an easy ride to get back into the team.
So you're thinking? So is your thinking behind it actually? Kulu keeps his place until Maddison can earn his way back.
That's what happens in top teams.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just making sure.
Teams.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't look at us as a top team because I know what happens. By the way, I love Maddison. By the way, I was praising the signing. I think he's a player that he thinks for himself. He's not like Odegaard who needs someone to tell him what to do. He's got it all in here. You know what I mean? And he does it from his own brain. You know what I mean? Football brain. Yeah. Right. So I love him. Yeah. But I think at the moment, if you had all those players available, yeah, I'll put those. I'll say it would be Maddison, Bissouma, and Sarr. I would say to answer your question. But in reality terms, if we're looking at it right now, I would say at the moment, Kulu's got the shirt. I'll put him up there. Sarr has to be there because Sarr. I saw him against the last game at home. It was clear to me that he made that midfield work. It was clear, absolutely clear, right? And then it's a toss-up between. Well, it's a toss-up between Bissouma, but he's injured. He's suspended, isn't he? So, yeah, that's the thing at the moment. I think that those are the players I think would be my main man if we're looking at right now at the moment. That's what I'm saying. But I'll go with my first answer. I gave you just with the midfield at the moment.
Just a quick update on the cup games tonight. Fulham have just beat Everton on penalties. So, but Kieran Trippier, who I don't even know if he started, conceded to go in the last. Gives Mudryk a go in the last minute, right?
Yep.
And
it's in a bad run of form, isn't he?
Yeah, and then missed his penalty. So
he's also given up some goals in previous games, hasn't he? Yeah.
So Kieran Trippier is showing his Spurs again. But yeah, and Chelsea have just gone through. So it's going to be interesting.
Watch.
Anyway, back to Spurs. So Ash and Jack, I wanted this question goes to you two because you both said right that Bissouma not in your starting lineup. Is this because Bissouma has 2 games now. Has been reckless. Has been probably stupid, and been sent off. And has it suddenly changed your mind? Because if I asked you probably before the Luton game, and even probably before the Luton game, would you, and you saw, say we saw that Bentancur performance against Villa and he still got injured, but if both had to come back, has he changed your mind because of the way he's been?
Yeah, so there's a couple moving parts for me. The reason why, because I was Bissouma's, and still am, I'm still a massive fan of Bissouma. But for some reason, he's just stopped doing what he does best, and that's just dribbling in that final third. Dribbling in that final third, taking a man on, dropping the shoulder, beating a player. And you don't normally see that with a 6. You don't normally associate that with a 6, but he felt like an extra man in our attack, and that was a way for us to break down teams. And no one really saw it coming. Now, if he starts to do that again, then I might have a different opinion. But for me, from what I saw with Bentancur, and our reason why I'm picking Bentancur over Bissouma is because Bentancur can carry the ball, he can dribble, but he also has the vision. That's the difference. So he can pass. That pass he was doing in the first 30 minutes against Aston Villa, when he's trying to do like lofted balls over the top. He's doing balls in between the lines. He's finding spaces in between the lines. We didn't know if Bentancur was a 6 or 8. It felt like with him and Gio, it felt like we had two 8s playing from deep, creating from deep. And so if Bissouma was to start creating with his passes, like passing from deep and doing what Bentancur does, then I'm choosing Bissouma all day. But Bentancur physically as well, from what I saw, was getting high up the pitch, winning the ball back up. He wasn't shy, like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, that's the reason why I put Bentancur over Bissouma. Not to say Bissouma is any less because of what happened over the previous games. I'm still hoping he comes good, and whatever he has in his head disappears and he starts taking his man on again, because that's the Bissouma I know. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think the fans are so frustrated because we know his potential. We know what he's capable of. But when a man's not living up to it and he's not doing it, that's when you're like, do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, it's mad. It's like, brother, I feel like to DM him and say, yo, cuzzy, just get back on it. Like, I don't know what's going on at home. I don't know, ever since you linked up with my brother X, you jumped in the trainer shop and you're doing all of this and all of that. I said, bro, you need to cut all of that out. Just be humble and just stick to your game.
Ash, tell me something. Do you think our defense is good enough without a CDM, or do you think we need a CDM?
I think our defense, when Mickey van der Ven is back, he allows the midfielder, the CDM, to have freedom. That's what I think, me personally.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
And so, like, when you've got a proper centre back you can trust, when you know, like, balls over the top, because you might try things where you might do a half turn, put it through a man's legs, but then you know the defender is going to cover you because he's got enough pace just in case you make a mistake. So
are you saying you'd rather a more creative centre midfielder than have a more defensive midfielder who doesn't go up high on the pitch? If that's what I'm understanding.
No, I want someone that does both. I want a CDM that is physical, can win the ball high up the pitch, but they have bravery. So when they win that ball high up the pitch, they're able to drive up that pitch and they're able to either contribute in the attacking thirds or they're able to create. That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
You're basically asking for a Rodri then, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Well, this is look, the way I see it, we're playing city football, city ball, city group, whatever you want to call it. We're playing total football. So any player in any position at any given time should be able to fill in a position and attack. So if a player that is a defensive midfielder finds himself in between the lines, all of a sudden they become an 8, just like your doggy. He's a left back, but all of a sudden he's high up the pitch. He's got to take on that job of an 8. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's all interchangeable for me. And that's what I call fluidity, in my opinion. So, like, I don't want a player that's particularly specific at a job. I want a player that can mold himself into multiple jobs, if that makes sense. So that's
I think that's Kulu. I think that's Kulu all day long. I've got to be honest. I think Kulu's got. I think Kulu's got it in his tank. To be honest with you, I think he's got the height. I think he's got the strength. I don't think he can do it on the right because I think he has to have that mobility. I think he just feels more comfortable in the middle. And I saw it against Man City a little bit. Well, quite a bit. he was just driving. He was driving through that
Yeah.
midfield, and I think that for me, it would put him in a different mode. I would say, Kulusievski. I just don't think he enjoys it at all, and I think it put him in a different dimension. That's what I was trying to find out. Trying to say different dimension in that midfield. I think that's what we need to explore a little bit with him. I think because I think that will help the team out a lot. And that's why I say that. I know we're looking at this later on. But that's why I say we need another winger because I don't think Kulusievski is that winger anymore for me. That's why I think. But I think you're spot on, Ash. I've got to be honest. What you're saying.
Nowadays though, like Alex, when you look at any midfield, they do have to have somebody in the team that is a ball carrier in that team that can take it past one or two players without needing to sort of pass it around the opposition midfield. Even again, I'll reference sort of Newcastle, moving Joe Linton into their midfield, allowed them to do that where he can take it past one or two players without needing to sort of pass it around them. You even look like a guy who was brought into Man City, but was always very good at it. Kovacic has always been very good at just taking past 1, 2, 3, 4 players. And then all of a sudden, there's a clean break. Even like with Wolves, right? That one guy, Mateusz Cunha, like they just have him just sit in the middle and he picks up the ball, takes past 1, 2 guys, turns 2. And then all of a sudden they have a clear chance created. And that's because if you have somebody who can just basically hold up the ball, if they even have a guy right on his back, but then he can turn his man and then get running at the defense and actually take it past another player too. It actually almost creates easier chances than needing to sort of create, again, sort of this perfect goal. You can just sort of have a guy that can be that maverick, which is kind of almost lost in the game, somebody who can just take on the ball, take it past 2, 3 guys.
Jack, you're speaking my language, bro.
But the easier chances can be made that way. But I think that's why Kulusievski thrives in the middle. There's another player I'm missing, like other than like Cunha and Joe Linton and guys like that. Or even look at the guy who went to Man City again, Matheus Nunes, like he was ridiculous at taking it past
And
like
Jack,
2, 3, 4 players.
Just
That's
to
even
add
all
on-
he's good at. He's actually, I think, pretty terrible at everything else, but he's good at that. And that's what earned him a 40 million move.
Just to add on to that real quick. Sorry, Marlon, to cut you.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
But basically, I think that's the reason why Man City are trying to sell their midfielder, the English midfielder.
Jack. Forgot his name now.
Calvin Phillips.
Phillips.
I don't think Phillips may suit that specificity, if that makes sense. And when he gets the ball, has he got the technical ability to drive it past players like a Rodri or the other players you just mentioned? Is he more of a pass merchant, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Should I tell you a player that's probably does that really well for another team, but no one really gives him the credit? Douglas Luiz does it for Villa. Just watch him, because like everyone will go, huh? But actually watch him, and that everything you've just described, he does that for Villa, and that's why they're getting away. And McGinn basically does the Sarr job.
Well, that's why lots of teams wanted him in the summer, didn't they? In January. But I have to say this though, Marlon. And by the way, Jack, you're absolutely spot on. I was thinking of that word for Maddison, by the way. Maverick. That's what I was talking about him, definitely. And I just think Kulusievski is that player that can do that. That's what I just think at the moment for me. That's what I'm saying at the moment. I just think he can do that, run with the ball, get past, and he can even hold up the ball as well because he's got the strength to do it as well. You know what I mean? So that's why. And I saw it against Man City. I just seen some Dembele vibes. You know what I mean? And you know, Mr. Box Office, yeah. I can diss my players, yeah. But when I'm saying something good about my players, that's the reason why I'm saying it. You know what I mean? You know. So I'm not jumping up and down, just bandwagon here. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. I saw what I saw, and I was like, yeah, this guy's got something. You know what I mean? And he looks like he likes his position as well. There's not that much pressure, you know? So for me, I think that would be his position. I think that will help us a lot. I think it would be more dimension to our team as well. And that's it. And that's all I'm saying. That's what for me is perfect. But I do think it will work also with Maddison as well. I don't like thinking about him because he's injured, but I think he could form a good relationship as well. That's just what I'm thinking at the moment, you know, because I do understand what you're talking about. I think we do try and score the perfect goal, and we need to stop it because we need to take our chances, and I think that's a good thing that you were saying as well. But also big up Marlon as well. Big back to you, Marlon.
So just a quick thing. So Ash, you brought this up earlier, right? And just wanted to get the guy's opinion on it quickly. Low block. You said basically we struggle to break low block teams down. We're not the only team, right? Yeah. Do you think it has something to do with what you've just said because we don't have that ball carrier, or do you think there are other factors in this?
Yeah, I just think at times when you're facing a low block, you've got to move the ball a bit quicker. And there's times when low blocks do come out at you. When they do come at you, that's when you need to quickly transition, and you need that ball carrier to move that player out of position, move it centrally sometimes, and then we could end up in a chance. But equally, I think in the low block, a lot of teams try to go out wide, hit crosses in. But guess what? That low block team, they've got like half their team, if not all of their team, in the box. So it's almost impossible to score a goal. And everyone's crying out for wingers to cross it into the box. But actually, I think when I was talking about having a Bentancur and a Maddison, if they're creating from deep where, you know, they're trying to break the press or they're trying to win possession back from us, then we can do balls over the top. We can dribble from deep because Tottenham have the highest amount of ball progressions in terms of ball carries and ball progressions. We're at number top. We're the highest. We've got the highest total shots as well. But in terms of actually bringing that ball out from the back and traveling with that ball, especially in that final third, we're top. So I just think it's a case of sometimes we might need someone like a passer. Maddison's a good passer. He's good at finding the eye in the needle, and he can find that passing lane, that little tight angle, and he can create that little cute pass to find one of our attacking players to run on. And then the same with Bentancur. He's really good at passing. It's not just dribbling. And that's the thing, that's the difference. Because sometimes it's good to dribble through teams, but sometimes it's good to find that deadly, that killer pass. And then also, you need runners. I feel like sometimes what happens is with Spurs, we've got 5 attackers and it is stagnant because they're already high up and they're easy to mark. But it's better if you've got runners coming in from deep. They're harder to pick up, and then you can score goals differently. And I think that's where it is sometimes where these guys are talking about we're doing too many short passes. And when you do short passes, the teams can organize themselves easily. Sometimes it needs to be 3 short passes. The 4th one needs to be long. And also another stat, we're the lowest team for switches of play. We're the team that does switches of play the least in the league. So that tells me that actually, yeah, we do actually need those technical players on the pitch that they can quickly turn a short pass into a medium pass or into a long pass. A bit like when you saw Maddison drop in from that fullback position, do a short pass into Porro. Porro plays it back to him, and then Porro spreads up, and then he hits that diagonal into Porro. Then Porro hits that long ball into Son, and Son gets on the end of it and scores. I don't know if you lot remember that against Burnley. I think it was the 4th or 5th goal. But I mean, it's that different level of passing. You've got short, medium, and you've got long. And Spurs don't switch the ball up as quick as I would like to against low block teams, in my opinion.
Jack, just want to bring you in on it as well. Low block. I'm going to assume you and Irish have broke this down as well, as many times as I've seen. Why are we struggling? Is it down to, like Ash said, the number 6, or like you said also ball carrying, or is there other factors to come into play?
To be honest, I think we only started. I think we only struggled with the low blocks because we didn't exactly have a focal point of a striker to really be able to break down these low blocks with. I think we actually create a lot of chances. I think we would actually struggle to create more chances, to be honest. We create some of the most chances in the league. We have some of the most touches inside the penalty area of any other team in the league. There's so many things that we have going for us right now that, to be honest, I'd be pretty shocked, if we were able to somehow be better in terms of creating chances for others and creating chances for teammates. What really has been the struggle actually is just simply when we do just need to whip it into the penalty area, there's not really that guy to do it. Sonny can't just grow 7 inches and, also gain 50 pounds and be able to shove over a guy like Ben Mee or rise above a guy like, Sven Botman to be able to win a header. He's never been that sort of player. And I also feel like Sonny's movement is not exactly elite as much in the penalty area. It's more elite when it comes to running in behind, stretching defenses, when they are playing a high line. Like, Sonny's probably one of the most deadly players you probably have in world football when it comes to playing a high line. I mean, he will burn you every time. But when it comes to actually making those moves in and around the penalty area, those fox in the box type of moves, I actually think that's not really ever been his forte. I mean, I think he can do a job, but I don't think it's really been his sort of elite skill set. Whereas Richarlison, I know you guys said that was an easy finish. The harder part was the movement, not the finish. And he was able to stay on sides, catch his defender off, and then also rise and jump before his defender was even ready. And that would show that we can break a low block, because all we did was just kind of move the defense around. Like Ash said, we moved the ball quickly, moved the defense around. Kulu got that half bit of space, and then he was able to whip in a really delicious cross, which just requires a guy that is smart enough to make that type of movement and has the finish on him to be able to put it away. But that's how we're able to break down low blocks. Like, if we just keep doing that, I don't think we'll have problems with low blocks. The reason we had problem with them before was because when we were trying to make that sort of goal, Sonny's just not, Benteke, or he's not built like Richarlison. Like, look at the difference between the size of them. Like, Richie's shoulders are like half of Sonny's chest, like the guy really does, he can stand toe to toe with a lot of these, defenders. And I think that's just been the issue. Is part of the reason too is because with Sonny, we sort of, because he's so skilled technically and he doesn't have that physical presence, we sort of had to create the perfect goal with him at striker. And that was also the reason, was against these low blocks, we were trying to create a perfect goal and it was always going to be hard. Whereas with Richie, we can kind of just have him just hit it in with his nose, with his knee, with his chest, like, and it's going to go in. Like, we can create all these beautiful passing patterns before, and then we'll just slide it across to Richie and might just bundle its way into the net. But who cares? Like, we had a beautiful set of passage before that. So I don't think we're going to actually struggle with low blocks as long as Richie's in the team, or some sort of focal striker of some kind that can do exactly what he did against Forest.
No, great point. Do you know what? Even though I give Richie a lot of slack, that is a great point about his movement. His movement was brilliant for that goal, and that's something that we probably didn't we took for granted, because he misses so many, but his movement's always been pretty good, to be fair to him. And it's probably now, it's as long as he puts the ball in the back of net, I think everyone will be happy with him. Before I come to you, Josh, I just wanted to read out another super chat from David Shire. It says, "Have a great day, you wonderful cobbers and cobbettes. Much respect. Alex, you are on board. Awesome to see the cobber."
I'm about on board with Ange, but I won't say no. No, I'm not on board with Ange, but big up to David. Big up to supporting these guys, these boys, because they deserve it. So, yeah, big up to you.
Josh, where do you sit on the low block? Because Ash seems to think we have trouble. Jack seems to think, no, we just need a focal point up top. Where are you on it?
Look, I think we've got trouble. There's no secret. I don't think we need to shy away from it. It's the fact is we got problems with it. And I've said this multiple times. I've already said this on the stream already. Sonny already needs to take some shots. The way I see it is like this: if we can't play, if the cam, whoever's playing in that cam position, for example, I'm going to take Wolves when we try to play Pape Matar in that cam position. When you got a player who's not working out in that cam position, something's not happening there. You got to think, Ange. This is where I'm going to put, the job on Ange now. I'm going to say to Ange, listen, mate, you got Kulusievski. Bring him in the midfield. Let him try create something. But what's important for me is that I want my cam. Not to pinpoint passes, to pass the ball into the net. I want my cam to drift the defenders out, and then crossing the ball to Sonny, to the wingers. That's the way I would like to see my cam work. I think we can utilize the fact that if they're sitting low block, obviously all their defenders at the back, in their box, we can take a couple shots. We do have quality players to take shots. We got one of the best left wingers in the league, Heung-min Son, on our team. Why can't we take a couple shots? There's nothing to be afraid of. The only one I wouldn't say to take a shot is Bissouma, but whatever. Besides the point. But yeah, I think one of the ways is by my cam pinging in crosses. Another way would be essentially what Romero does, and it kind of relates to what Jack said, it's to do a couple passes towards that centre midfield area. Number one, because it just shows that you're in control of the game, and it also shows that the players are in their position just in case something happens. And then slowly, the opposition is not going to sit out for a draw. Guaranteed, they're not going to sit out for a draw. They're going to want to come out. So they're going to come out, and then that's when we go out. That's when we go in. Potentially, we do passing the ball into the net, but if not, put a couple balls in, crossing, and utilize our wingers as much as possible, to switch a play as much as possible. But one more thing I do want to say is the fact that if we do, push all our players forward like we do against low block teams, the problem comes in the counter attack. And this is where I say my CDM is the most important player in this position, because he basically solidifies the two centre backs, because the wing backs essentially go into that midfield, which overloads that midfield. So Bissouma, in my case, would be my CDM, and he helps at the back with the three centre backs, with the two centre backs. So when we go on a counter attack, when there's a counter attack against us, we can somewhat get a bit more composure on when we do try to get back the ball. But yeah, that's it.
Alex, how are you feeling about the whole low block situation?
I think we don't do too badly, to be honest with you. I can't really complain in that sense, I would say, because we have kept to a. This is where I give Ange credit, to be honest with you. I think because the thing is though, well,
everybody heard it, yeah.
Well, no. I've said this before. I've said this on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV.
I think I'm about to agree with you
way.
anyway. I think I know what you're going to say, but go on.
But I've given Ange credit, because when people were saying to him, "You need to change your system, mate," well, he said from very get go, he said, "Well, I'm not changing my system, because I told people, I told Daniel Levy, I told everybody, I told them twice, one in when I started, one in the fan forum. I ain't changing my system. If you didn't want my system, if you didn't want my football, don't employ me." He said it quite clearly. You know what I mean? And he stuck to his word. He's stuck to his word. You know what I mean? The only thing that has changed is the tactics around it. The whole structure around it has not changed. And that's it. And I think the thing is, though, yes, he's adapted to certain things. That's why he had to do the thing what he did against Chelsea. You know? What he's done against other teams like Sheffield United, for instance, and we got through that game. And I think with this at the moment, I think you've got a striker like Richarlison. I actually think I can't really add to what everybody else is. I can't really add any more to what anybody says, because I think I do agree with you a little bit there. That I think that the big striker does help us. It does help us, and it just gives some of the other players who are more creative the chance to be more, the more chance of interacting with each other, interchanging positions and stuff. And I think that makes our system, makes us more, makes us more more predictable, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? So I think that's very helpful as well. The only thing I would say is at the moment I'm still not a fan of Richarlison. I think Richarlison can still do more. Yeah. Well, no. I know he can't really do that much more, but it's just I just don't think Richarlison is that. I'm just not a fan of Richarlison. He's doing okay for what his level is, but I think we do need somebody better. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, I think the winger is more important.
Well,
I've got to be honest.
I get that.
I think the wing is more important, because I just don't think we've got wingers.
And
I include that with Solomon, because Gill's useless. Gill's absolutely useless. I'm sorry, I'm done with him now. That's for me but because I think some of the players that we have got it in them to create. You know what I mean? And that's it for me. But I think we don't have. For me, I think the only problem we have at the moment is when we don't have that physical striker up front. I think we do struggle. I do think we do struggle. But that's the only thing I would say that is an issue. But this was going to be a struggle this season, because it's a build. So I haven't got that much expectations this season. So, you know, I was expecting these struggles, and that's it for me. So hopefully I've answered that question anyway. But back to you, Marlon.
Not really, but I'll take it. But I just to add my thing on this whole low block. I don't think we struggle with low block. I think our struggles is we don't create too many clear-cut chances. If you look at every single game that we've had, especially the 5 that we weren't doing well in, we've had so many shots. We've had so many shots on target. But if you look at how many clear-cut chances we're creating, it's not many. And that seems to be our struggle. And that's just not in games this is in games we've won as well. And I think that's once we can get over that problem, I think everything else might just fall into place.
So is that a quality issue then?
Yeah. And that's why I kind of agree with what Jack said, actually. With Richarlison playing up top, it does get because obviously what he's done is Kulu's pulling it on a plate for him so he can finish it, right? So, and that's the sort of thing that we need right now. We need the Harry Kane off. Well, not technically a Harry Kane.
We need the goals to be easier to score, and Richarlison makes our goals easier, funny enough, to score. If he continues to make that type of movement, actually the goals become easier to put in, because yes, we can also then create the perfect goal as well, where we have an absolute worldie, from somebody, or just the spell of play is just so saucy that we just tap it into the back of the net. But in case we can't do that, because like we just came up against recently, they put 11 men and their mother behind the ball. Like, it's not going to be easy to create that type of goal, really. So we just have to almost force it into the net sometimes. And Richarlison, in a way, did a version of that, like on 2 occasions. And even also in the game where against Newcastle, like Sonny just takes it past his man, and then we just have multiple guys flooding the box, but Richie's the one who's standing there in front of the center back, blocking him out, boxing him out, and just sort of taps it into the net. And that's what we need, is just somebody to make the goals a bit easier for us. And I think Sonny too is also roasting people on the wing. Yeah.
No, I'm saying even when Richie tries to hold the ball up, I know we joke about, I at least joke about the fact he can't hold the ball up, he always falls down. But I'm saying, even if he does fall down and it's a foul, at least he gets a foul or something like that. So I kind of agree with you, Jack, but yeah.
I think his hold-up play has been really bad in the beginning of the season. Like, he was actually hurting a lot of our moves, but recently, in recent games, it's been a lot better. So I guess we'll judge to see if it, continues on this sort of
freely now a little bit.
Just his touch and his decision making is a lot better. Previously, like, he would have the touch of a truck, sometimes when it would come off of him. But now I don't see that nearly as much. And also Sonny, like, we've had pretty average performances from most players down the left wing this season. Now that we've moved Sonny back to the left wing, we're seeing much, much better from our left wingers. And it's him, because he's taking on his man, taking it down the byline, like Alex said earlier. But then also he's actually playing passes into sort of the penalty area that aren't just requiring like a blind cross. Like, some of those passes he was playing sort of, through those little, kind of just windows of space, with his right foot, those kind of inside type of through balls and everything were actually quite, smart passes. Like, I think people don't really rate sometimes Sonny's creative ability, but it's better than people think. There's a reason he has 50 plus assists or whatever it is, for a reason. He's not just a goal scorer. So him out on the left has actually made everybody's life almost a bit easier in a way, because it's allowed Richarlison to then sit in the position that maybe he's better at, which is just sort of being that focal striker in a team instead of being something else.
Mm-hmm.
Ash, we've done an hour. We've got a nice little segment in the next hour, but what have you got to share?
So we're on the subject of wingers, so I'm going to talk about who we're linked with. I know Jack, he's the originator when it comes to IDing players, so I'm so honored to have him alongside me as I go through this next segment right now. We've got a player, and his name is Matthias Sol. Don't know if I said that right, but he's left-footed. There's his chart as well, pie chart. So attacking-wise, strengths, technique, creativity really high. And he's 20 years old as well. Can play on the right-hand side, second striker or attacking midfielder. Those are the positions he's played for this season. He's played. He's actually on loan from Juventus, so we're actually really recruiting Juventus people. Alex would be happy to see that. Another reject, of course. But yeah, he plays in a similar system in a 4-2-3-1. As you can see, he's there on the right-hand side. So he knows the actual, he knows Ange's system because he plays in a similar system. Here's his actual percentile bar. Non-penalty goals, he's in the 84th percentile. Shots in total, 67th percentile. But if let's look at his actual progressive passes, the progressive passes are 91 percentile. And that was something I was really looking at because I like to look for players that can do through balls, key passes, or can make a pass through the eye of the needle. Successful take-ons, he's in the 99 percentile. So he's hot. He's hot. Tackles as well. He's not going to be like a Brian Hill. He actually likes to tackle, is quite physical as well, 78 percentile on the tackles. Interceptions means he can read the game. And blocks, 94 percentile for an attacking midfielder. He's right up there. But I like the fact that he's young. But he's playing in Serie A in the top division. There's his heat map, so you can see he's mainly on the right-hand side. Here he is cutting inside, finishing a goal. It's a quick goal of him on his left foot, but actually finishing on his right here. It's actually putting it onto his right foot, putting the keeper on his bum, making it look easy. He's shooting from distance, something we were talking about. We want someone that can shoot from distance. Poor goalkeeper in there. But again, something that we're looking for, a profile that can do that. Him running in late as well. I was talking about that. We need players to run in beyond the striker, running late to attack, shifting the body, be able to drop a shoulder, dribble in between defenders, and he hits the post there. Unlucky. He's got 6 goals so far this season in Serie A in this team. They're lowly. They're not in the top half of the table, but they're in the top tier of the league. So here he is scoring a header. He's Argentinian as well, by the way. So he's got like South American cojones about him. Here he is with quick, tricky feet, good close control, lining up the shot. I'm unfortunate that in that occasion. And again, hitting the post again, striking the woodwork. So you can tell the guy's got potential. He's not afraid to take his man on. He likes to dribble, likes to take on the outside of his foot. Jink. Again, he should finish there. In the possession, here he is doing a little kick-ups, controlling the ball with the outside of his boot, bringing it back on. Again, in tight positions, he's quite tricky as well. In the midfield, where you want to see him quite central, he's able to hold on possession, not give it away. Here's some of his dribbling as well. He's able to take it out of his feet, beat players, left, right, left foot, right foot, doesn't matter. But that's what you want. You want a tricky player that can take a man on, go either way, not necessarily relying on his pace, but just relying on trickery. His first touch, he beats a man, and then he's driving into the space, nice and powerful. He's looking to link up. He knows when to fake a shot, comes in, knows how to drop a shoulder again, holds onto the ball very well. And that's what I want. If Kulusievski comes off or a Brendan Johnson comes off, we've got a guy that's left-footed and he's able to play on the right-hand side, who's able to play central. But key passes for me, really important metric because he's able to see the picture a little bit quicker and he's able to assess. So that ball over the top is something I'm looking for. Here he is dancing with the ball. And again, he sees a pass early and he's able to release it. He's not holding on to it for it too late. And then we've lost a big opportunity. That's something that we've been missing. Someone that's able to release the ball early enough to create chances for our forward line. He's doing it again there over the top. So it's not just through balls on the floor, but it's balls over the top as well. And here he is beating his man once again. And here he is intercepting just in that last part. But I like the look of this player because it's a potential. It's a potential, but he's actually doing it and he's gaining experience at the same time. So that's something I really like to look at, man.
No, he has a saucy compilation reel from what I saw. Like I was very impressed. Like, and it was one of those where yes, we've all seen like a million amazing like compilation reels, but like his, I was like, dang, I'm actually interested in this sort of player. Like even if he doesn't end up going to Spurs, because he has a bit of a unique sort of type of look to him. I'll be honest, don't watch a lot of Frosinone games or, a lot of their sort of, Serie A fixtures on too many occasions. I try to maybe watch the highlights of maybe the sort of bigger games, but what I've seen from Frosinone is that they actually have like sort of outperformed what I would have maybe expected from them. Like they're a bit higher up the table. They have that guy, Di Francesco, I think his name is, who is that former Roma manager. Remember when they beat Barcelona and they went like really far in the Champions League? That was that manager, the guy when Manolas got that big header. It was that sort of guy, who was their manager at the time. So, he have a good manager. This guy Sule, from like I said, his compilation reel and everything is very, very saucy. Looks like a really techie sort of player as well, just like really technical, gifted. Love the short socks. I don't know about you guys, but I like a small shin pads and short socks as well.
You know he's techie. You know he's techie if he's got that.
Tall. He's actually tall from what I can tell, like 6 foot plus or something too. So I'm also kind of into those sort of type of players, those sort of tall, skillful type of guys. I would say from what I could tell from, again, really only compilation highlights and stuff, kind of looks like Riyad Mahrez, like weirdly, like sort of the fact that he's left-footed, tall, sort of very skillful player, creative, has scored, plenty of goals. He's like outperformed his XG, but then when you look at his expected assists, he actually should have more than what it says it is. And that's probably because he plays for a pretty bad team like Frosinone. So maybe they're not bearing all the chances that he's creating for them. I don't know. I think it looks like another one of Paratici's unearthed gems here in Serie A. I'm not surprised, but like I said, if I probably would be following this guy once he moves anywhere, like even if it weren't Spurs, because he looks like just a cool player in general. I would say he's almost like a Riyad Mahrez or like an Ilicic or something like that, back in the day.
And just before we move on, I was going to put a player out that everyone does know, and that the reason why I'm bringing up this guy is because I think it could happen. Well, it could happen. I don't know. This is Spurs, so maybe not. Maybe I'm dreaming, but I'm talking about Rafinha.
I'm tuning off.
He's out of favor at the moment. So a young kid is taking his place at the moment. So he's seen a lot of bench. And so I know that Barca are looking to offload a couple players. And he could be one of them. He could be one of the players that they could offload. I know they want our player in Gio. Gio's been linked to Barcelona quite a lot. And I'm like, why not? I mean,
swap deal.
Why couldn't we earn some cash? I mean, and this is why I want to dream a little bit. But the reason why I brought him up,
teach you when you need him.
the reason why I brought him up, because he can play on the right, he can play on the left. He knows the system, 4-3-3. There's his heat map. Again, let's look at his bar again. His bars, there's percentile bars. We took an assist, 93 percentile in assists.
Progressive passes
attempted, successful take-ons, touches in the penalty area, progressive passes received. That's really important for me. That shows that you're really techie if you can really control a ball under pressure, high up the pitch as well. He's not as strong as the other guy in terms of tackles and interceptions, but interceptions is still quite high. Aerial one, he's quite good as well. Believe it or not, he's not bad in the air. And he's Brazilian. He's Richarlison's teammate. Anyway, forgot to mute that. Sorry, I apologize. Let's go again. It's not muted. All right, cool. So here he is again, scoring goals. I just did a few clips of him scoring. That's what we need. We need a winger that's basically going to get it out of their feet. There he is scoring with his head as well. That's going to hit it first time, finish their dinner, get on the end of things, as you can see there. On the end of things, once again, there's arriving at the other wing and also shooting from distance. So out from side the box, scoring with a head again, getting on the end of things, just scoring a goal in the center this time, not on the back post, being a threat. Dribbling wise, you want a person that's a one-on-one demon. Everyone talks about that. And this guy is an exception. He's no exception. So here he's able to take his man on, go on the outside, go on the inside. And sometimes you forget he's left-footed because he's so tricky with both feet. But he can turn on a half turn. He can do a Cruyff turn to beat a player, take a man down the wing. At least he's exceptional. But I just feel like at Barcelona, maybe because he's playing with better quality players, he just looks even more rapid than before. And if we can get a player with this quality that can take players up, to take players on, I think we can take on not just the low block teams, but again, the top 6 teams. We can really cause them trouble. We can really hurt them.
I think he was pretty terrible at Barcelona so far. I think he was a lot better at Leeds, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think he's not been great. I'm not sure if that's because Xavi's a fraud or if it's just because Rafinha just hasn't really, adapted to La Liga. But he's been a bit of actually, I would even say just quickly, whenever I've watched Rafinha, he's actually bored me. Like he looks like a sideways merchant whenever I've watched him. And that, like I said, that could be because Xavi, I think, is a complete fraud. But it also could be because he's just, for some reason or another, maybe not looked great in a team that isn't Marcelo Bielsa's, sort of team. Like in Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds, Marcelo Bielsa brings the best out of a lot of, I think Rafinha is a great player, but it was Marcelo Bielsa that really did bring the best out of him. And
him and Rodrigo together.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And even a lot of the players in that Leeds team, to be honest, that were probably, less than average. But Rafinha definitely not less than average. But I would just say, like, since he's gone to Barcelona, it's not been the hype that I expected it to be. Like, he's kind of really underwhelmed. And actually, I think they want to sell him because he's been really underwhelming. I think that's the reason.
Yeah, it's funny because that was all Barcelona clips. And so the point I was trying to make is the crosses he was making weren't just like gets to the byline and whips it in. He was making the crosses at the edge of the box, which Porro normally does as well. But it's good to have an actual right-sided winger or a left-sided winger that can do either.
It'd be interesting. No, it'd be interesting though, because you're saying he does that for Barcelona, but when you actually watched him for Leeds, completely different. Like, he wasn't doing, like, he'd cut it back sometimes and do those crosses, but most of the time he was playing in behind. He was doing this. It was completely different to what we saw. So maybe, yeah, I get that he probably might. If he came to us, I reckon, especially with the way Ange wants to play, I think we could see the guy that was at Leeds, the reason why Barcelona signed him, more than that from what you showed us on those clips.
Also, something to add is the fact that I think it's the main point of this is the fact that he's also played in the Premier League. I mean, how many players have we seen who's been unbelievable in different leagues can't do it in the Premier League? We've got a couple in our team. I mean, look, I think Rafinha is a. I'll take him instantly. I'll take it. I'll take him yesterday. Like, honestly, I think he suits our team perfectly. And the one thing Ashley smashed there was both players love taking shots. And I mean, I'm down for it. And as soon as I can see that they got a good shot on them, imagine having Sonny on one wing, having Rafinha on another wing. It's not just okay, one winger you got to keep an eye on anymore. It's both wingers. And the fact is that Rafinha, not just he's a lefty, he's also a righty. I mean, he can go on his right as well, putting across with his right, putting across with his left. So I think that's brilliant.
So I've got a quick question for you all, right, while we're talking about transfers. I'm going to go I'll start with you, Jack. We can only make 2 signings in Jan. Do you have a preferability on players you want or positions that you think we should, or positions? If you've got 2 in mind of players, who would you go for?
I prefer a center back and a striker.
Gonna give us any names?
When it comes to an actual center back,
yeah,
it's hard for me because it's sort of somebody that needs to be good enough to step into the team, but is also willing to probably sacrifice some minutes that they might get elsewhere because they are going to, get some minutes straight away, but then they might get displaced by Mickey Van de Ven or a Christian Romero. So it is a bit tough for me. I sort of would lean towards any one of the ones we've been linked with. I do like Jean-Claire Todibo. I do like some of the other guys we have been linked with. I just think it's whatever's been best for Spurs. I'm even not that picky exactly on the center back position because I think whatever it ends up being the best choice for Ange and for others, I think I'll be fine with. Yeah. When it comes to striker, though, I'm actually more of a striker than a winger because the points that I brought up earlier, I think Spurs have created enough chances. I don't think we could create any more chances than we already are. What we're benefiting from is now having 2 different types of strikers. We have Sonny in case it's a high line, and we can just stretch that defense and be able to just absolutely burn any sort of team that wants to try to play with a high line, and we can just play him behind. Or we have Richarlison for these low block teams, and we can use him as that focal striker to play into. In case one of them gets hurt, I think Sonny, at the end of the day, he's going to play in the team no matter what. So what we probably need is somebody who can either compete with Richarlison, or in case Richarlison gets injured again, which he does get injured a lot, we might need somebody who can basically step in and sort of do the same thing that Richarlison is doing. I don't think Alejo Valise is sadly that guy yet. We might need to still wait a little bit. So the guy that I'm going to promote forward, and it's because I'm a big fan of Shakhtar Donetsk and I do like how they play, that guy Danilo Sikan, throughout this sort of Champions League, has really impressed me. He's also won me a lot of money on bets, so far this year, but he's actually been impressive where he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's probably not going to be too expensive because he's, coming from a foreign league, kind of not really all that tested other than the Champions League. I'm not saying he would come in and immediately displace Richarlison. He's very young, good hold-up play, really good in the air. Almost all the goals that he did score, I think, in the Champions League, especially 2 of them, were actually big headers that he rose above, his defender to win them. I'm going to go with Danilo Sikon because I think we could get him for like underneath 25, 30 million, which is sort of realistic for the January window. Shakhtar, they haven't moved to like the next round of the Champions League. They're in the Europa League now. So maybe they would, sacrifice the money and just sort of take it from us. So I'm going to go for that, and that would be a way for us. So in case Richie gets hurt, we can still play with another striker up top that, could suit that sort of low block sort of answer. So I'm going to go with Sikon. And also because I like the obscure Eastern European players. So there's my one.
Josh, 2 players. I'm giving you 2.
Yeah. So I think for centre, I agree here with Jack. Centre back and striker. I think I was gonna say left wing, but then when I was gonna back up my point for the left wing spot, I realised that it's actually no, we need a striker. So I mean, it's that attack in terms of when you're playing, a top team, or you're playing any team, you want to have a quality that comes on, that comes off, essentially, that there's not much of a difference. So centre back, keep it short and simple. Braithwaite from from Everton. I think I loved him. I think he's been unbelievable for Everton. And I think he's a type of player that wouldn't mind sitting and taking a little bit of less minutes than he'd usually get, but also is not a mass. I mean, he is a drop off, but it's not a massive drop off. And he is a sort of centre back that I think can improve as well. So I definitely would take him. And in terms of the striker, I don't really have a striker in mind. But I would like a striker that essentially can just think forward, is a poacher. Because I think what Richie does isn't really enough. I'll be honest, isn't really enough. Especially for the amount of money we got him for. We can't forget about that. The amount of money we got him for was ridiculous, and the result we've gotten from him has not been great. So yeah, striker and a centre back.
Alex, you in the same camp, striker, defender?
Straight answer. Striker. No, a player that can play all through the front line, right? That can get past his man as well.
I don't want another one of them. I'll be totally honest. We've got one of them. Every time we buy one of them who's fluid between the 3, they don't end up being, because they're fluid between the 3, they don't end up scoring goals. For me personally, sorry to cut you, Alex, but for me personally, if we're gonna go get a striker, I want his only position to be striker where he's played majority of his life and he goes and scores goals. Fluid strikers don't work. They don't work. They're wingers. I give you the fact that the wingers can go play off the 2. That's fine. But if you're gonna go for a striker, right? You don't have Harry Kane's going to play on the wing. You don't have Haaland's going playing on the wing. You don't have Callum Wilson going to play on the wing. Isak, I think, is slightly different, but I think he struggles sometimes because in certain games he goes missing because he's moved over to the left, he's moved up front, and I just don't think they work. If we're going to sign a striker, I want a striker. I'm sorry. Go on, Alex. Carry on.
Well,
that's my rant over.
Well, the one that everyone will agree with is the centre back.
Yeah,
the centre back.
Yeah.
For me, striker, there's not that many good strikers out there anymore.
And that's the only thing. And I agree.
And I think for me,
it
will end up being a winger for me. It will end up being a winger for me because, like I said before, Richie's not a winger. Kulusievski is not a winger anymore for me. And for me, Solomon, he's okay. He's okay. Gil needs to go. So then you need another winger. So for me, and Son, yeah, he's good on the wing. He's been performing okay, good. Long term, I don't think it's going to work. And I'm thinking more long term now because I don't just look at 4 games or just a season. I look at how many games a season in, season out. Is he going to be good on the wing? He's getting older now. I think, yeah, we definitely need a winger that can get past his man, get to the bar line, and get a crossing. You know what I mean? And you could develop him. You know, it's not even just that. These players can get better and become better players. You know, Gareth Bale when he was left back, he turned into a winger, then he turned into a striker. You don't see that anymore with players anymore. Yeah, because they need to be told what to do, because that's what it is now in 2023. So they can get better. They can get better. You know, that's that's the whole aim of the game. When you have a good season, you get better and you perform better, and you develop your game even further. That's what the best players like Ronaldo and Messi did. You know what I mean? But you're not going to get those sort of players anymore because players don't think for themselves anymore. You know, and that's it. But for me to answer your question, Mr. Box Office's answer is defender and winger. That's it. Back to you, Marlon.
No problem. It was actually quite interesting, and and the reason why, and just going back to my little rant there about I want a striker, is because I saw a stat about Richie the other day, right? And I don't know if this is true or not, but someone put it out there. No one argued with it, right? And it said that he's played 213 Premier League games, right? 168 of those games were either at left wing, attacking midfielder, or right wing, right? So he hasn't even played majority of the time up top, right? He has scored 52. He's assisted 25. That's a goal and assist every 1 in 4, which is not bad, right? But he averages 73 minutes in a game. So goal involvement is every 202 minutes, right? That's the goal involvement every 2.24 games, right? So it's not that bad. But the reason why I'm saying is, if the guy's never played this, but this is why he's struggling at Spurs, because he's not a striker in the sense of he hasn't played the majority of his Premier League life as a forward, right? He's been as a main striker. He's played it on the forward line, and I don't want another Brennan Johnson where he's coming in, he can play right, left, up top. I just want someone who's done the job from day dot and's gonna basically put it in the back of the net.
I think you're gonna have to get a striker that is up and coming then. Like
you're probably right.
You know what you see with Evan Ferguson, for Brighton. I'm not saying that we're going to get that guy, but
I know what you mean, though. Yeah,
I think that's what they think that's what we're going to have to do. That is used to playing the system. You know what I mean? To get used to playing the system that we want to do, the attacking sort of player that we want to play. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, I think right now, those sort of players are kind of going out the game now for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are.
And you don't get those goal scorers anymore. Because even when people are going on about Evan Ferguson, is he scoring a lot of goals at the moment? No, he's not. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
But you know what I mean?
But you're hoping that what you're hoping now is that because Haaland is doing the business at Man City, because it always works. Pep's the blueprint, right? At the moment, right? So for the last 4 or 5 years, when Aguero finished, Pep was playing without a striker. So it went out of fashion. Everyone was like, we can do that same. Everyone wants to copy the blueprint. But actually, now that he's got Haaland and he's won the treble, you kind of go, well, actually, you do need a striker who scores goals. So maybe what's happening in the background and what happens everywhere, in the next 4 or 5 years, hopefully we should start seeing more not Haaland, he's a quality striker, but that sort of scoring 15 goals a season, and it's good enough nowadays. I think we hopefully should see that in the next couple of years, because it always happens. You just go through a cycle.
It's so crucial because the thing is, though, the fact is you need to score your chances. That's been the problem with Tottenham Hotspur. I think Jack has hit the nail on the head straight away when he said the perfect goal. Yeah, I'm not trying to big up. I'm not trying to go there with Jack, but I think he hit on a fantastic point, by the way. Yeah, and I think the Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham, even though we're bang average, by the way, I still we were trying to score the perfect goal, right? Because of too many times, and it was just annoying to me, and that's it. And if we'd taken our chances, the game's gone. Because look what happened against West Ham the next game. They got thrashed by Fulham. You know what I mean?
Took their chances, yeah.
So what does that say to you? You know
and
what I mean?
So
that's why I said
goals as well.
It's not about him changing his system. You stick to your system, you adapt it. That's the point, and you take your chances. Yeah, that's what top teams do. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not trying to rant. I'm not trying to unleash. I'm just talking about the truth, and that's it. That's what Mr. Box Office does. If you don't know, get to know. Back to you, Marlon. I'm done. Sorry, mate.
I was just going to quickly bring up this centre back that we were linked with, because I think everyone said a centre back, so I thought I'll quickly just mention him, and someone mentioned him in the chat as well. That's the reason why I thought let me just bring him up real quick, and his name is Morato. 13 million on transfer market, but apparently I've been reading that 30 million is what they want from him. He's got 100 million release clause. The interesting thing about him is that he plays in a 4-2-3-1 at Benfica, but the thing is he can play left back. I thought that was interesting because Udogi's obviously missing, and that's a big miss for us. We don't really know who can play that left back role when he's gone. And so I thought this player would be a good person to look at, and especially that we're linked with him. Apparently he's technically good on the ball as well as defensively. So he's played in multiple positions at the back, but here he is scoring a goal with his head. So he's quite physical in the air. We need someone that's dominant in the air at the back as well. So I think he fits that profile where people have said Ben Davies hasn't been that great in the air. This guy is much better. Again, just recovery pace. He's not the quickest player. I'll admit that he's not the quickest player, but again, he's quite front-footed. He's not afraid to challenge, shoulder-to-shoulder barge, steps up, gets in front of his man, goes through a man there, able to outmuscle a player. He's got the kind of size that you want from a centre-back or even a full-back, similar to like Udogi in terms of size. Height-wise, he's 6'3" as well. There he is, not getting bullied at all, having no nonsense. And the thing is, he's assertive. He's not one of these people that are going to dither and think twice about what should I do? Should I step up? Should I not? No, he's straight on it. He's really front-footed. And I think that's going to suit Ange's style in terms of a centre-back and what we want. He is left-footed as well. So he predominantly tackles with his left foot and he kind of shapes his body around. It's a quick bit of on his possession. He's able to pick the ball up in deep. And he's not bad technically. He's able to do long balls as well if needed be. So here's a ball he does in behind. That's something that's a bit different to what we had before. Again, with his feet, he's able to play his way out of danger. I know that Ange wants that comfortable on the ball, able to find players, just giving us a different angle. And I think that's the reason why Spurs are looking at him at the moment. Someone that's competent at the back, not afraid to play in central areas, can switch to play. As I said before earlier in the show, we need someone that can switch to play at times or go long, but also he's good at dribbling, taking the ball out from the back. Here he is between two forwards and he's able to beat both of them. So that was a player I thought we might as well look at today, man.
Can I bring something up on there though? Quick thing is the fact that do you not think that maybe him being quite slow, it looks like he's a very heavy player. He looks good on the ball. But do you not think that maybe Ange playing that high line, it's going to be very risky in terms of a counter attack if we play like we said?
He's not super slow, but again, he's not as fast as like your Van der Ven. Van der Ven's special powers is pace.
I'm saying, would he be good enough to come in, let's say, for Mickey Van der Ven if he gets injured?
I just think from what they're looking at, I just think because he's front-footed, he's able to play on the ball and he can play left back like at Udogi's position as well. And his age as well, being, I think it was 20 or 21. I think he ticks a lot more boxes than he does, doesn't. But I do hear what you're saying, and I think that's a weakness because, like Mickey Van der Ven, you need players that have pace. Like Tobido, like Jack was saying, he's got electrifying pace. We looked at him about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it, Marlon? And he's got he gets ahead of Saliba, and he's able to play it out from the back. He's really quick, physical. Some people do talk about his temperament a little bit, but apart from that, he beats a lot of the players with all of his metrics, defensive metrics. So
no, I'm saying that's why when you look at the back four of Tottenham, you see Udogi, Poro, Romero, and Van der Ven. All of them, maybe besides Romero a little bit, but they've got pace. The defense is full of pace. So but interesting. Interesting. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, last half an hour before I let you all go and have a good evening, we're going to play a little game, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you, I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, okay? 1-word answers, but then I'll get one of you to explain whichever one's my favorite answer out of all of them. I'll get that person to explain why they chose that person, right? And everyone in the chat, please get involved. So if you're on a TV, get your phone out, right? And then just make sure you're kind of, what's it called, where you integrate the two so you can have it still on the TV, but you can still chat, right? So it's not quiz time. It's a bit of a fun game for all of us to play because we're halfway through the season. Ange Ball's here. We're not completely there, but let's get what everyone's opinion is. So, the first question for the panel. All right, I'm going to go from I'll go Alex, Josh, Jack, and Ashmatic, and we'll just go in that order for the rest of the show, right? And then I'll get one of you to explain your answer, right? So the first one is signing of the season. Alex.
Madison.
Josh.
Vicario.
Ash.
Madison.
Very, very, very split. So I'm going to go, right? And I think a lot of the chat, I'm going to go which one's been money's worth. So the explanation, Jack, why Vicario?
I think we needed to sign him 3 years ago. That's kind of why. To be honest, Hugo was already starting to show the signs that he wasn't really up to date with sort of the modern ways of what you ask from a goalkeeper. Nowadays, with a goalkeeper, it isn't just shot stopping. It's actually, you need to be a sweeper keeper, you need to be good with your feet, you need to be good from crosses, because now I don't think referees are actually giving keepers as much lenience when it comes to fouls, especially from set pieces. You have to be more sort of dominant in that sort of aspect. And as well, you just sort of have to have this sort of like decision making about you. It feels like the goalkeeper position now, you have to make more kind of split decisions, like in a moment, kind of in the heat of the moment than you used to. I think back then it was kind of like you did just sort of have to just focus on making saves. Maybe every now and again, maybe you had to rush out of your goal to sort of sweep things up. But now it's just sort of like you have to be on your toes to make a variety of different positions, whether it's with the ball with your feet or without the ball with your feet. And I think Vicario is just showing exactly that. Hugo, I think for a few seasons was hurting us with how poor he was with his feet. I would actually argue he's probably the worst keeper in the league, it felt like, with his feet at certain games, because he just was basically costing us in a lot of situations. And his shot stopping was actually going down. He just wasn't making the sort of cat-like reflex saves on a consistent basis that we see Vicario make, that Hugo used to make. Hugo, I think, stopped making those type of saves on a consistent basis like 2 or 3 years ago. And he wasn't ever a sweeper keeper, or maybe when he was kind of first signed, but, stopped really showing that later on. And he's never been good with his feet. So it's kind of like the signs of sort of what's asked from the modern keeper. It was just sort of kind of time's up for Hugo. So we needed to sign Vicario. Vicario somehow does all three with, absolute just A+, sort of rating. And when you look at it, this summer was the summer of keepers. Sanchez moved, Onana moved, all these other keepers moved, and Vicario proved to be better than all of them and cheaper than all of them too. So I'd say Vicario, easily the best money's worth signing, probably in the Premier League this season, probably the best money worth signing.
This was the question that came up, and Sean said it the other day and said, for money's worth, actually, which summer signing has been better than Vicario for what they've achieved? And you kind of looked at it like, you got Declan Rice costs 105 million. You expect him to be good, kind of scenario.
You can buy 10 Vicarios with that sort of signing.
So, but Madison, Madison didn't cost as much as everyone thought, but for 40 odd million quid, right? Yeah, he's been injured for the last month or so. Yes, he's proved, but that's still a lot of money. But Vicario's proven, compared to all the goalkeepers, like you said, that have moved this summer, he's been absolutely brilliant. For me, it was Van de Ven, but that's just me. Right? But no, totally agree. And I think a lot of people agreed with you in the chat as well. Vicario, his name seemed to come up a lot. Right? So the next one. Who's been your player of the season so far? Alex.
Oh, this is a difficult one because I don't think there's anyone right now, to be honest with you.
You were quick to choose Vicario Madison for the player of the season. No, for your signing of the season.
Okay, because I'm just answering your question, Marlon, yeah?
Yes,
there's nowhere near. I'm answering your question, yeah? This is the only reason why I'm saying this player, Vicario. That's the only reason. I think he needs more time. Sorry. I understand where Jack is saying what he's saying, by the way, because I know he's had this gripe with Luis for a long time. So now hearing his answer doesn't surprise me because he has said it to me personally. So I know so I absolutely understand what he's saying. He actually is spot on what he's saying as well, to be honest. But I think Vicario, has made some fantastic crucial saves. There was one save against Fulham, which was a crucial save.
Wait. Hold on. I thought we was giving a name. What's going on?
Yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. You stopped me there. Yeah. Sorry, I did ramble on a little bit, but yeah, that was it.
Go on, Josh.
Yeah, no, I'm
Player
gonna
of
have
the
to say
season.
Vicario. Yeah, 100%, no doubt.
Jack?
Vic is the one that comes to mind. Sar, special shout out, Pop Montasar.
Ash.
Sonny. Oi.
You've gone with the chat. You've gone with the chat.
Nah,
The chat has gone Madders and Sonny, and you guys have gone
don't
with
do that. I have my answer. I've got my answer. Wow.
I'm Alex. I'll let you finish off with that because you chose Vicario.
No, it's listen. No, yeah, Ash was right to stop me because I just went on a rant, didn't I? Big up to him, by the way. Yeah, he knows how I am. The thing is, yeah, I just think for me, the saves have been actually quite immense, to be honest with you. And for me, he acts like a captain. He's more a captain.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've watched him. And the thing is, though, it's not even because I've been there. I've been there, watched him. I've seen it myself at the stadium.
Talks more than Lloris does or did.
Exactly. He just feels like he's a loudmouth. He doesn't care. You know what I mean? And the saves have been very good. The save against Fulham, that was a crucial save because we scored that straight afterwards. So yes, it needs time because, like I said, there was no expectations for this goalkeeper this season, and that might have helped him this season. There was no expectations. You know what I mean? So we have to see how he goes the next couple of seasons. And it's mad to say he's world class because no, sorry, you don't do that in just half a season, especially in a season. Yeah, it could all collapse after another season. You know what I mean? So you will see how this guy develops. But for me, he has been very impressive. He saved us. He has saved us in certain games. You know what I mean?
Spurs fans don't feel proud after the Chelsea game if Vicario didn't pull off a million crack saves like in that game. Like we would have lost 9-1 if it wasn't for Vicario.
I was there. This guy was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely.
But that was the only reason you probably felt in any way sort of kind of confident after that game.
Yeah.
Or because Vicario saved
and
our
Chelsea
ass
absolutely useless, by the way. Absolute useless as well, by the way. And this is me saying this again. You know what I mean? But the thing is, though, that's why I was like annoyed when Tottenham fans was going over the top with his first game. Yeah, I was hearing people, "Oh, this is next Gomez after his first game," and I was like, "What? I thought we were supposed to give this guy a chance. Look how it's changed now." You know what I mean? So, but again, I need time. We need time still with this guy, but he has been impressive, and that's why I gave my answer, and that's it. Sorry, Marlon, I do go on, but this Mr. Box Office time, like I said every single time. If you don't know, get to know. Back to you, Marlon.
Okay, so the next one, and I'm going to give you a list of players for this one that are included, right? Young player of the season, right? Because there has to be a caveat. It's got to be under the age of 23, right? I'm doing Premier League, right? So these are the players that you can pick from. Felice, Udogie, Sarr, Johnson, Van der Ven, Hill, and Skip. I'm not including Kulu, right? I'm not including Kulu. So I'll just go through that list again. Skip, Van der Ven, Johnson,
ruining it.
Sarr, Udogie, and Felice. No. Young player of the season.
No. He's a man-child. He's still a child, man.
No.
He's a man-child.
No. He's not. I'm not including him. Right? Because he's going to be 24 by the time the season ends. So Skip is the first one on that list because he's only just turned 23. Right? So there's your list. Alex, young player of the season.
I was going to say the same thing.
Van der Ven.
Exactly. It's bait. Come on.
Could have been Sarr.
I'm going Sarr.
Yeah. See? Jack?
Yeah.
I'm going Sarr.
Fair enough. Van der Ven all day, bro. Crazy. Van der Ven for me. Yeah.
I think if he didn't get injured, I mean, it's a sad thing to put on him, but if he didn't get injured, I mean, Sarr's played in more games and impacted more games than Van der Ven has.
You know what it is for me? I love Sarr. Look, I love Sarr. Let me caveat. The only thing with Sarr that I need to see him improve on is creativity and
But he ain't got that. But he ain't got that in his game. He ain't got the creativity. He ain't got the creativity in his game.
But you need. I think as an 8, I think as in the Ange system, I think you need to be able to create and score goals or shoot at least. Do you know what I'm
He
saying?
needs to be able to shoot.
I think he's played in the position he's played in better than anyone else has played in that position.
Yeah.
He
So
suits
I
his
think it's
position,
sort of
that's the
hard.
main
It is hard to criticize him because he's basically played better in that position than anyone else has so far this season. And he also has sort of both. Like I know maybe he doesn't have that James Maddison pass, but it's not like he can't make a pass. Like, and he does get involved in the play. And when you saw Skip, for example, play in that position, Skip looked clueless in where he was standing, where to play a pass, where to stand, where to show for the ball, how to get stuck in. Sarr makes it all look easy from that position. And also has kind of in Vicario sort of fashion, when you think about it, some of those recovery runs that he has made for us on sort of the defensive end, no other guy basically in that team makes that recovery run on certain occasions. So I think Sarr is actually playing that position better than anybody could at the moment, unless Bentancur maybe were fit. Maybe
That's
Bentancur.
what I was going to say to my brother. Listen,
Ash, 1 second. Josh.
Yeah.
Right, before I bring Ash in, you explain why you chose Sarr.
No, I think it's very, very simple. You know, you got Bentancur out, you got Maddison out. I mean, I think Sarr's come into this position. You got to remember, Sarr is a type of player who, like we just discussed now, he isn't the most creative person, but he's got those lanky legs. I tell you what, those lanky legs come in handy. I mean, like, look, he's able to get into tackles. He's able to physically beat players off, and something that more struck me towards Sarr than anyone else is the fact that, you know, he suits his position. I mean, yeah, sure, Udogie is good in his position, Van der Ven's good in his position, but Sarr fits his position perfectly, because if he moves a little bit to that cam position, no go. If he goes to the CDM spot a little bit, no, absolutely not. That centre midfield role is perfect, and the way he likes to receive the ball, likes to maneuver it, you know, to the wingers, you know, that's what we need from Sarr. And yeah, and by the way, I love how you snuck in a Skip there, as if someone was going to vote for him, but you got to put him in there, haven't you?
The only thing I think you made a mistake, Josh, was you mentioned Bentancur. Bentancur doesn't need to be mentioned. Sarr's holding his own at the moment. Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm saying because Bentancur was out.
Yeah, but we don't need to worry about Bentancur, because Bentancur needs to get back into the team first and start
That's how
getting
well
to
Sarr is
fit.
playing. I agree, Alex.
You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
Sarr is holding his own. You know what I mean? Because one thing I will say, it works. Bissouma only works when Sarr's playing at the moment. It looks like now for us. You know what I mean? You know, because of his energy, his strength, and that's what I saw in the Newcastle game. You know what I mean?
Well, that's also something that comes in handy. I don't know if you just mentioned it now, was the energy. I mean, when Sarr plays compared to when Bentancur plays, I don't know if you guys see this, but I see a little bit different type of energy when Sarr plays. It could be because Bentancur has just come back, but when Sarr plays, it looks like a younger centre midfield role type of thing. But yeah, fair enough.
Stelios says that a lot of his the scouts, when we got him, were saying you've got a very good player there. You know what I mean? And now we're seeing the fruits of it, basically. That again needs more time. Still needs more time, because again there was no expectations again this season. This is exactly why I said Tottenham could win the league this season. Yeah, because we're very dangerous, because it's a bang average league and there's no expectations. Yeah, and when you've got no expectations, what happens? You have a Leicester City season, don't you? You know what I
Girona,
mean?
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying it out of saying, oh, we could win the league. No, because you look at the league now, look at Ange, yeah, and look at what, and I don't even like Ange, yeah, and he still need convincing he's going to stay in more for 2 years, yeah. But my point is that it's about systems now, yeah. It's about managers. You don't need world class players in your team anymore now, yeah. In 2023 now, you don't need it. Yeah, you just need a system of players, and then you've got a tactical manager, and it's all about the managers and the players that can work in a system. Yeah, and they work as a team. If you've got all that, you can win the league. Yeah, the only difference is Man City have got great players that have got in that system, and that's it. Yeah, because why are Arsenal up there, by the way, when Arsenal were eighth and fifth? Come on now. You know what I mean? And we were top of the league with a team that we just put together in the summer when we should be nowhere near the league. Let's be honest, they're nowhere near. Come on now. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that's what it says to me, and that's it. So I've diverted the conversation. I do apologise, but I had to put my 2 pence in. Do apologise, Marlon. Back to you.
I've got a quick question though, right? Because obviously it's between Van der Ven and Sarr. If Destiny hadn't produced his performance against Chelsea and never got suspended against Forest, would he have been in the conversation?
100%.
I think he'd be even if you put him first. I don't think I would blink at that. I don't think there's anything wrong with putting him first.
The reason why I asked, because no one mentioned him, and I did mention him on the list, and I was just thinking, was it because of the Chelsea game where he got sent off, and because now he's been suspended again?
He also had the mistake against West Ham. If you're all, I mean, it sounds really harsh, but if you are going to, I do have that's where Sarr hasn't had those mistakes, and that's where if you're going to pick, it's fine lines when it comes to these awards on this show.
I don't think he's aggressive though. I think it's just mistakes. I don't like this. I think it's just mistakes. And the thing is though, I think you can't take away from these aggressiveness, because thing is though, I think that's what Ange's system's all about. You have to be a bit more aggressive and attacking wise. You know what I mean? So I just think it's mistakes, and it's because the players are still they haven't popped yet. Even Ange said it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm defending him when I don't even like him. You know what I mean? So it's
you obviously do.
No, I don't. I don't like him. It's just like
you're saying words, but words coming out your mouth for defending him.
No, but I'm defending him because the thing is, everything that's happening right now, he's told us already, bro. He told us this already.
So why can't you like him?
But bro, you know the answer anyway. But the point I'm saying is, the point I'm making is though,
he's
Marlon,
stealing his box office from him.
He said this already. He said, yeah, the fans can go outside and lap it up when we're top of the table, lap it up. But I know where we are. Yeah, we know where we're going. You see what I'm saying? I know what mistakes we're going to do. And the thing is, though, the only game that we were questioning at the moment is the Wolves game. And look what happened afterwards. Dyer's out the team, and Oibia is only on the sub bench. So you know what he wants now, don't you? You know exactly what he wants now, isn't it? You know, since that game, yeah, because you ain't seen nothing different since. You've seen something different since then, haven't you? You know, because Wolves was terrible, wasn't it? Yeah, it was not. It was like Conte ball. I was told. Since then, Dyer out of the team. He's going to be out in January, by the way. Yeah, all in summer. He's not going to get back into the team. And Oibia.
I tell you what, if Roma sign Eric Dyer, Jose Mourinho is going to get some hero status. He's calling out Levy. Right? And as someone rightly said the other day, right? Admittedly, I didn't like Jose went off under a dark cloud and all that stuff, right? But we've never been explained why he was sacked. We've never has it once come out. The club have ever come out in every other situation you can understand, but we've never ever been told as fans why he was sacked 2 days before the final. Not once. And as a fan base, right? Yeah, he might not be everybody's favorite, but it's true. I think we deserve that. We deserve that explanation. Why have you sacked a guy 2 days before the final? What could have been seriously that wrong that you couldn't have sacked him afterwards?
Yeah.
Kind of scenario. But yeah, if he signs Eric Dyer, hero status, he can come back anytime he wants. Right. But let me get to the last question, right? And we'll see. This is going to be quite an interesting one because Ange has probably improved most players from last year, and there's been a few, but this would be quite interesting to see where everyone's opinion is on it. But for you guys, who's been the biggest disappointment this season? And you can't include Eric Dyer because he played a half, right? So he's gone, right? Sanchez is gone, so he's been sold and he has played, right? So I'm going to give it to the squad now that he's kept and he's played more than 2 games. Who's been the biggest disappointment for you? Alex, you're first.
The Celso. Yeah.
That's it. You don't need any more. Josh?
I mean, biggest disappointment. I'm gonna say Skippy.
Yep. Jack?
Yeah, it pains me to say it, but Brian Hill.
Ash.
That's a good one. I was going to say Skip. But yeah, Brian Hill has been a massive letdown. That's a big fact. Brian Hill. I'm going Brian Hill. Sorry, Brian Hill.
Go on then. Ash, you're the last one.
Brian
Scream your
Hill.
answer.
No, the reason being is he's had his chance now, I felt. Like he's come in the squad. He started a couple games. But it's that same problem we knew about that he hasn't improved on, which is his physicality. He's just not been able to hold on to the ball. For me, also, is decision making, when to go inside, when to go on the outside. I think that's more letting him down and letting his technical ability down as well, because actually he's not bad on the ball, but his decision when to go on the outside and when to go on the inside, that's when he's getting dispossessed off the ball. So, and then end product, that's my biggest complaint about Brian Hill all the time. Crosses onto the box, cutbacks, shooting. He just lacks that cutting edge that we need from a forward player. And he had that opportunity, as I said before, he just hasn't lived up to it.
I feel like, sorry, one quick thing. I feel like you got
can all jump in
players.
now.
You got players in this team who are league they're suited to different leagues. They're not suited for Premier League. Let's say Brian Gill and Lo Celso specifically, them two are very much suited to La Liga. You got much more time on the ball to decide what you're going to do, especially for Lo Celso. I think him playing in that cam role and sometimes as a striker in what was Villarreal. He sometimes plays as a striker, sometimes plays a cam. You got more time on the ball. You can think about what you're going to do, and it's a more of a tactical league, assessing the situation and doing not the Premier League where you need to think fast, and if you don't think fast enough, you're going to get shoved. It's not like that. With Brian Gill, I think it's the exact same thing. I think technically he's really good. Technically, he's got what he's got it. There's no reason why we signed him. It's not like we just signed him for no reason. There's obviously a reason why we signed him. He's a really good player, just not for Premier League. You only have very much specific players who technically are so good for the Premier League. Like say Thiago, he's good enough for the Premier League because his physique is good enough for the Premier League. Lo Celso's physique, in my opinion, is not good enough for the Premier League. Especially when I'm saying we should play him at that number 8 role, where he's got more time to assess the situation and then to pass out. Not to be played as a cam position where instantly the defenders are pressing him. Same thing goes with Brian Gill. Like I said, Brian Gill, La Liga, he's going to be unbelievable. We've seen he's played really well. But as soon as he gets back to the Premier League, the pressure from the defenders, from the fullbacks, it's not enough time on the ball.
Anything to add, Alex, or you? Because you said Lo Celso.
Well, just for me, I thought everyone was going over the top about him in the pre-season. I said he was only playing well because he wanted to leave. We didn't see him for most of the first season. Then he started playing. Then I was hearing, "Oh yeah, we should give him a chance because he's." And I said, "Well, when did why do you think he's turning up? Because look what's coming up. Oh, January. Oh yeah, forgot that." And yeah, and I saw him against West Ham, and he was annoying me. He was annoying me so much. I watched him all game. He was rubbish. He kept on holding the ball too long. He was just absolutely useless. I've got to be honest, absolutely useless. And it was just too many touches on the ball. It just isn't going to work for me. Gill as well. I agree with Gill, but that's just too easy. That's too easy for me because how many years has he been here for?
Quick question. Josh and Alex, would you prefer to get rid of Brian? No, sorry. Would you prefer to get rid of Lo Celso over Skip, Højbjerg, and Brian Hill?
No, I'll get rid of Gill first.
I'd get rid of Gill as well. Yeah.
What about between Lo Celso and Skip?
I'd get rid of Skip.
Lo Celso. Lo Celso all day long.
One second. I'm gonna agree here with Alex on one thing though, and this is just because of business side, which is the homegrown. That's the only reason. Nothing to do with the technical players or anything. Yeah.
Listen. I don't like Skip either. I think Skip is rubbish as well.
I hear it. And Lo Celso and Højbjerg. Go.
Oh, that's a difficult one. That's a really.
Can I just add to that? Because all of you all said players, right, that have been a disappointment already, right? And my biggest disappointment this year has been Højbjerg.
Really?
Because if you look at the standard he had last year compared to what he's done this year, he has dropped, right? With Hill, I didn't expect anything. The Celso, I didn't expect anything. Skip, the same. But Højbjerg, for me, right, last year was at least at a Premier League level. His performances this year, even when he came in those games against, was it Fulham and that, he has been so disappointing. It's unreal. And I
thought he looked quite good.
I think he's been quite good coming off the bench this season, Marlon.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people are just painting this picture of him, right, because they want it. They're thinking like, yeah, he's done well. But actually, if we look at the bigger picture, he hasn't played well at all. And every time
he's doing his job, that's what you're saying, isn't it, Marlon?
He's just doing his job. Like, compared to what he was like when he first came, I think he's dropped his standards big time.
I think he was better than Bissouma in the last game, for example. When he stepped in, he was better than Bissouma. He was doing what Bissouma wasn't.
But Bissouma, and I agree. I do agree to a certain. I do agree, but I don't think Bissouma's performance in the last game wasn't of the Bissouma that we've known. Like, Bissouma's getting to the point. If he carries on like this, he'll be a biggest disappointment as well. Right? But for me, Højbjerg, like that game against Newcastle, and at the end when he came on, summed up Højbjerg this season for me. And I'm really disappointed with him. I feel like he can do better than his performances are playing out. And when he was it against West Ham when he kicked the air and stuff like that. This is like this for me is not the Højbjerg I'm used to. And for me, I think he's been the biggest disappointment. And that's why if I said to you all lot, all of you lot right now, he's gone in January, I don't think any of you lot would care.
I would.
Listen,
definitely care.
Marlon, this is a moment where you got to just treasure it. Yeah, you're making a fantastic point, and you got Mr. Botsos on board on that one. I've got to be honest, because I never thought of it. I never thought of it like that, you know.
No, but I'm looking at the standard because we're talking about disappointment, right? Hill, none of us he's been a disappointment since day dot. He hasn't been any good. Skip, right, started off the season well under Nuno, but hasn't been good ever since.
Yeah, you're making a good point. You know what? You have make a good point, because to be honest with you, I never thought of it like that. And to be honest with you, the way you're saying it, I'm thinking it back, and I'm thinking you are making a very good point. You got me on board.
That's just
Ashmatic's done it to me. Ashmatic's done it to me, and to be honest with you, Jack's done a lot done it today as well. To be honest with you, big up to you, by the way, because he's made some very good points on the stream. Big up to you, Josh, as well.
Don't let me ruin it with my defense of Højbjerg.
Oh no, but we know you love Højbjerg. We know you love Højbjerg. We've had the debate already.
I'm going to be in trouble with Ellie.
We know somebody in the chat who loves Højbjerg as well, Queen Ellie as well. Yeah.
Queen Ellie.
But no, Jack. Go on, Jack, because I'll let you defend him. Because
I'll be brief, Marlon. I'll be brief. I just think he's been I'd agree with you when he started this season. He's been kind of underwhelming for the most part when he has started games. But to be honest, I think he's been really good actually as an impact sub in a lot of occasions this season, and that's been when he's needed somebody else in midfield to do something different. Højbjerg has come on and done that in a lot of occasions, and even actually when Bissouma has been pulled off in certain games, Højbjerg's come on. I actually think has done a decent job. And also, I think you clearly rated Højbjerg maybe more than most people do kind of before this season. The only reason I'm surprised by your answer is because so many people don't like Højbjerg as it is. So I think before this season, they wanted him. They wanted him to fail anyways before this season. Like so many people, especially journalists. So many people, especially journalists, are saying, oh, this system will never suit Højbjerg. He should be one of the first out the door this summer, etc. And yet he's been probably the most used sub and one of the most used squad players of any person in this team and trusts Højbjerg more than any other player off the bench at this moment in time. So I would say that's better than what most people had from in the beginning of the season.
And so this is where I've had a problem with Vans this year. I think his substitutions have cost him a lot of games this year and have been really badly. And I said this even when we were winning. He's right. So we'd be on top of the game. He'll make us up and he'll bring on a Højbjerg, and suddenly the game starts falling back in the opposition's favor. Right. If you look at every substitution he made when we were losing, apart from the Chelsea game, we were winning. He makes us up. All of a sudden, we're losing. So for me, the Højbjerg. So there's a standard with Højbjerg. I get Højbjerg. There's a lot of things with Højbjerg I don't like, but at least there was a standard. And I don't think he's anywhere near where he was last year. And I don't even think he was that great. I just think he's just been really underwhelming. I think his substitute appearances, and there was parts of me thinking, okay, I think they've been so subpar that it didn't really matter, because if Bissouma's playing really badly, he hasn't really improved it. He's just come on and just done.
I feel like I would use the Man City game as a counter, where he took off Hill, brought on Højbjerg to add an extra man to the midfield. We simply tied that game if it weren't for Højbjerg coming on into that game. But Højbjerg brought that dynamic in the midfield that we needed.
But to be honest, I think that was a tactical change, because Hill was so bad on the left-hand side. I think we needed someone to go out there, and we needed that extra man in mid. I think we could all see that. I think no matter who we had, I think he could have probably brought on Skip to a certain extent, and I think the same result probably would have happened, because he needed to fill out that midfield so we could have someone on the wing, because it felt like we were playing with 10 men. Look, Højbjerg, I can't give you that. That's one game.
I'm surprised, from a Højbjerg lover. I'm surprised.
I'm not even a Højbjerg lover. It's just that I think when we talk about disappointment, I think all the players you mentioned, we kind of assumed they would be. But Højbjerg, for me, is completely dropped standards from where he was last year.
I see your point after Liverpool. I see your point after Liverpool, because I thought it was an embarrassing win after Liverpool. I didn't like the performance after Liverpool.
That's just me. But
Marlon, I see your point. I see your point.
I was just thinking, like, it's a good point you said about the substitutions, but do you not think that it's just because the quality, and we've said this so many times, I mean, at least I've said it, the quality of the substitutions we have are just nowhere near the starting 11.
So yes and no, I agree. I actually do agree. I don't think they've been standard, but I did watch Ange at Celtic a lot as well, and his substitutions weren't great then either. They're okay, but they've not been great. But I do agree with you. So the quality we have is probably a lot to do with why we're suffering. Because I look at, like, let's take the Man City game for talking purposes, right? As soon as he took off Lo Celso, right? I think at one point I thought we could actually win this. As soon as he took off Lo Celso against Man City, the game just went back to City, right? And even though we were on top, Villa, again, he took off Lo Celso, right? And again, Villa scored. They went and got the second. West Ham, again, he made a substitution. Again, West Ham went and scored. I admit it was our mistakes, but they still went and scored. And that's why I'm looking at it going, his subs have not, that's probably been, for me, Ange's weakest point. Everything else. Yeah, Sport and Skip. And he keeps bringing on, is Skip always been the first sub or the second? It's been a mix.
It's really Højbjerg is the first one.
Yeah, it's usually Højbjerg is the first one, then Skippy comes as the second.
Yeah. Look, I trust Ange, don't get me wrong, but I just feel the subs, I think if this was Conte, when everyone used to do Conte for the subs, I think Ange...
The difference of Conte is that he used to make him too late.
He did. Yeah. Well, Ange did at the beginning. Ange did at the beginning of the season, and I did question him. But
this is why I differed with Sean when he said, "Oh, he's adapting his system." I said, "Well, he needs time to adapt his system." That's why I'm saying maybe he needs time to do that at the moment, and then we'll see where it goes, and that's it. But I do think you're making some very good points there, Marlon. Which again, I like it, because the thing is, I don't. It's something that, again, when we talk about this, is where I don't like people telling me about, oh, you just be positive, Alex. No. You're saying the football reason, and I'm seeing that. This is why I get with Ashmatic, by the way. This is what I get with Ashmatic and Jack, by the way, right? But it's like, when I get football reasons, I can see it, and I think you're making a really good point. I wish the show was longer, so I could you could explain even more further. You know what I mean, or clip it or something like that. But
we need to do an educational hour with Alex. Me and you just sit there explain it.
Or get Marlon on your show, Jack. Maybe that would be good, isn't it? You know what I mean? That would be good.
I'm often defending Højbjerg, so maybe I'm the one who needs some education.
No, because I take your point, and I do agree with what you're saying. There has been certain games, but when I think about what we 16, 17 games in, and I think about the season as a whole, I think for me, he has been so disappointing, and I expect better of him. I think that's all it is. Like, even
if you rated him before this season, I could totally get that. Yeah, there's just so many people that don't rate him that just wanted him to fail anyways. So I'd say he's outperformed their expectations.
It was true. Very, very true.
Has Højbjerg been played out of position at times?
But that's sort of your role if you're coming off as a sub, though. Like, your role as a sub is to probably play a variety of positions in the midfield, and he's had to do that.
Didn't he start against Wolves?
He did.
Yeah.
And he was played as an 8. Do you think Skip plays an 8, or do you think 6 is his better position? And same with Skip. Do you think Skip is an 8 or Skip is 6? This is one thing
I don't think Skip's good enough for any of the positions. I don't think he's shown to be good
Skip
in
should
any
be
of them.
gone.
If I'm being honest, your question is, are they good as 6 and 8? I think both of them are not good enough to play both for us. That's what it is. And I think, and as Mia puts here, all our players fit in the place. PEH sits at home.
On that note,
so
big up Mia.
If Mia's agreeing with me, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Yeah, you don't want to disagree with Mia because she talks sense. She talks sense.
No. But on a serious note, it's just where I'm at with it. I agree with the players you lot are all saying. They haven't been great. They've probably been well disappointed. But I think the bar was set low to begin with, especially with Brian Hill. Like I think we all expected probably better of him. But actually, if we're being realistic and looked at the past how many years, why? It's kind of the question you have to ask yourself. And it'd be like if I said to you in Ndombele, if he was playing right now, would you expect much of him? Probably not, because he's not been great for us at all. Why would he be great now? So it's kind of one of them situations. But everybody, I'm going to make that the last one. It was great to have you all on. Box office, as always, I don't like having you on, but you know, Ash keeps inviting you. So
thank you.
So
I enjoyed that. By the way, I really enjoyed that. By the way, really enjoyed that. Good show, bro. Good show, boys.
No, thank you.
And it's good to stream with you, Josh. And it's a pleasure to see you again, Jack. Man, it's a pleasure to stream with you. And you made some really good points, by the way, Jack. So yeah, being with the Irish Hotspur really helps you a lot of the time, innit? You know what I mean? Bob. Man, big time now, Bob, man. Now 12K now, Bob, man. You're getting going, Bob, man. I like it, Bob. You know what I mean? Big settings now, like, you know what I mean?
More sense by the day. I'll make more sense by the day. Each passing day, I make more sense.
Josh, thank you for coming on. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, I'm on Instagram at Spurs Live, just about to hit 20k. On YouTube, just started there, so trying to grow that platform as much as possible. Yeah, look, lads, it's been a pleasure, and yeah, thank you so much for having me on the channel. Obviously, Ash, Marlon, Mr. Box Office, and Jack, appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully next time we speak, we're winning. We're back to winning ways, you know. We got a couple of signings in the door, you know, maybe a Messi, Mbappe, you know, and you never know. set the ceiling high. But yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Jack, the Irish Hotspur, one half of it. Tell everyone where they can find you. Flat Cap Jack, you know, we know them all.
Thanks for having me, boys. It's been a pleasure.
Marlon,
I look forward to you and I can schedule, you know, a pre-record or something of some kind, you know, together. That'll be good. Yeah. And it's I think this, from I could tell, I think this was going to be a fun panel from the get-go, and I think it ended up being that. So absolute pleasure. I sent a bunch of people over here, you know, from the community section as well from us. So everybody who maybe joined from the Irish, please sub to these guys. Both Marlon and Ashmatic, wonderful guys. Of course, you know, bringing on good panelists, and Josh, Alex, and then I'd like to think maybe myself from time to time too. But everybody, really do show these guys some love. Hit the big sub button, big red button. You can't miss it. Like button as well. And yeah, guys, I really enjoyed this. This is actually time flew. Yeah,
it was good fun.
Yeah, sorry about that, boys. We do end up going for ages, and it's usually Ash's fault, but I'm going to take the blame for today. Ash, tomorrow, let people know what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, as always, man, we got the rival show, man, and I've got a Liverpool guest on, so we need to get to it, man. We need to get to Liverpool, man.
No, man, you need to be nice to him.
Liverpool and United as well. Yeah, United, we need to product them a little bit, so it's going to be fun. Arsenal will always be there, but yeah, rivals tomorrow, man. Check it out.
Same time. Probably be back 9:45 because Liverpool playing tomorrow, so we'll try and stream after Liverpool. Yeah. Friday, the three boys are back. I call it the preview show, but it's comical. One of them's gonna come out with something outrageous, and I think last week Haz and TJ blew up on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, because they said if Ange carried on, he should be out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" I was like,
unsubscribe.
yeah. So I was a bit like, "Oh, here we go." But no, they didn't unsubscribe. It was all bloody Harry's fault. But they're back Friday. Haas, we've got the match reactions on Saturday after Everton, so we should know when that is. And I'll be back streaming next week with you, Ash. No, we're not. It's Christmas, isn't it?
Boxing Day.
No. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, probably. Now, yeah. So we'll be back with this show in 2 weeks. So we'll break up for the new year because we've got too many games coming up as well. So there'll be a lot of preview and match reactions, and rival shows will start back up in January. But for the last Ashmatic news views for the year, I suppose it is, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you, panel, because you've been actually really great.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. But as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
Spurs.
Spurs.
Big Ange trade.
In the big Ange.
Good stuff, lads. Good stuff.